Alright, so let's get on to it. I think we're all going good. Looking and getting everything set up. Looks like I think we're good. Alright, so audio is working. Stream looks to be on and working, so we can get right in to the thing. All right, so welcome to week 3 of the PWC Recap, going over some of the best games in all Showdown divisions. We had a lot of suggestions this time, which was really cool to see. The only two suggestions, the only two divisions where we did not see suggestions were the Genesis division, top division, and unfortunately my own division, the Clangorous division, which is a bit disappointing, but at least I know kind of the Clangorous division, what they're up to, so you know I can kind of work with that. But I was glad to see it. I had suggestions from every other division, including in both the Inferno and Blitz division. I had enough suggestions that I actually had to pick between them, and not all of them made it. So really, I appreciate especially those two divisions for submitting so many. And if yours didn't make it, sorry, but I just had to select between them because I don't like doing more than two per group, and you know, we just had a lot of options, and sometimes they were decided based on who's gotten more screen time so far in this, and also we also had decisions based on which ones were the closest, because obviously, given a choice, we want to see the closest best matches. So yeah, all that being said, though, let's get right into it. From the Genesis division, we only have one matchup so far, just because it wasn't suggested, but this was actually one that when I looked through, it was a clear pick for me right away, and that would be the match between CamelConvention and Zebstrikemdown, two top members of this division. For those who, you know, there's a bit of a obviously. Yes, and I will be also for Major Comeback, I will be posting the thing in after this stream is done. The next stream might also be a bit delayed, because I am traveling and have a lot of stuff going on. So week 4 may have a bit of a different sort of setup for it. Might even do it early because of different issues, but we will work on trying to get that one going, even if it is delayed. And at the very least, there will be one for week 5 that will be good to go. And I will be posting that in the PWC content channel for those to find. It will be added and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, for this first match, we are going to be looking at Zebstrikemdown versus CamelConvention. CamelConvention, obviously, one of the blue bloods of this, and a lot of them, the creator of the Wiglet bot, like an absolute, like, very much one of the most well-known people in the entire server, and a big favorite. Was at the top of the record here in Genesis division until this week, where obviously is a bit of a spoiler, but we have a loss here to Zebstrikemdown, who, even though they are at a negative differential, they have been going on a bit of a win streak here after losing their first match. So let's quickly look into the rosters, look at those signature mons. Covering CamelConvention. Camel is running with a really fun one we haven't seen before, the Terra Sigilith, running that, and then if you see here, Kirim, Scissor Mega, two very strong mons. But I'm really interested to see Sigilith, especially considering Camel's propensity towards stall. Very much one of their favorite things. And Zebstrikemdown running with the mascot pick, the Zebstrika, which I love Zebstrika. I used Zebstrika some of my first ever times playing in Draft League, my first ever times, just because I thought, oh, cool mon, low tier, and Zebstrika actually has some fun stuff with it because it has the immunity to both electric with lightning rod and the option for the immunity to grass with sap sipper, and also has a pretty good speed tier with overheat plus some electric moves, so it's a pretty good actual setup. I kind of like it, and so yeah, we'll see how this goes. We're going to see the lead of the Sigilyph, probably with Magic Guard, but also could be offensive with that tinted lens. And on the other hand, we have Pidgeot, which I believe, just to double check, yes, that is that Mega Pidgeot, which has about one set. I've used Mega Pidgeot. I love Mega Pidgeot. Mega Pidgeot has about one set, and that is called it's no guard, obviously, with Hurricane, Heat Wave, U-turn, one other move. So let's see what happens here. All right, we're going to see the Terrifier immediately come out on the Sigilyph, and it's going to be Rocky Helmet, so looking at more of a defensive-oriented sort of look, and getting that Rocky Helmet chip on the Pidgeot's pretty good off the rip. We're just going to see it kind of pivoting around. Interestingly, we see that flip turn into the Pidgeot. I'm surprised there was a flip turn into the Rocky Helmeted thing, but that Terrifier allows for that to be a thing because then Sigilyph can't really take those hits quite as well. The confusion landing on the Hurricane is pretty big, but it doesn't really matter for it because he's able to just get Stealth Rocks off anyway and then switch out into the Kyurem. High horsepower is going to land. It's not going to do too much, but it does reveal that this is either mixed attacking or it is physical Zebstrika. In fact, it's physical probably with that Terra Blast. The Earth Power is not going to kill because it's no longer electric type, and that Terra Blast is going to do big damage into the Kyurem. Alright, switching into Sigilyph, but the critical hit actually lands for some significant damage into this Sigilyph, kind of forcing either a Roost or some other pivot as the Empoleon comes in. Victini's going to come out to go in against this Mega Scizor, which is one of, if not the most dangerous Pokemon on Camel's team with the ability to sweep with that priority. Bolt Strike going to come in, do some damage, but not going to be enough to kill much. The V-Create, though, is going to land the kill on the Sandy Shocks, which is the absurd power of 180, though he's now slower than the Kyurem, and it's going to have to switch into the Weavile to avoid just the one shot on the Earth Power. But that allows Camel to go for that sub, even with the low HP, knowing that it's going to be a swap out. The low kick's going to come in, but it's enough for Camel to get off the Roost on the Kyurem. It's going to switch back into Victini, and it's going to be immediately countered with that Primarina switch. Great switch from Camel. And now Primarina, even though Empoleon now comes out, it's now a plus pivot for Camel. Now it's just forcing more switches and some big damage being landed in there from the Scizor. It's, right now, even though there is a Pokemon down, Camel's still in a pretty good spot with some of these pivots, kind of forcing it a lot, learning a lot about this team as well, learning that there is boots on that Salamence and all that sort of nice stuff. And just there's not too much damage coming into this team by Camel from Zebstrikemdown. But the flip turn's going to land, and that's going to do big damage on the other hand into the very fragile Weavile. Now, Weavile not in a great spot. It's going to go for the knockoff just to get rid of those leftovers on the Annihilate. But unfortunately, though, that is going to raise the damage on that Rage Fist. However, Pidgeot is a great counter to that with its normal typing, and Hurricane's going to land and kill that Sigilyph. So now it's going to be, there's a lot of that sort of stuff going in, and Empoleon's going to come back in. And this is the thing, right? Is that even though Camel has lost 2 Pokemon, it's still very solid defensive core, which is very expected for that. Oh, but we're going to see the Shuka-Berry Flash Cannon's going to come in and not kill the Kyurem. But that is huge for Empoleon to stay in here and keep going with it. And the Roost is just going to be just enough to keep Kyurem in the green, technically, unless you have that thing crit. The Earth Power is going to be enough. Kyurem's still alive. Empoleon, and this is a danger with Camel's playstyle. Camel plays to have very bulky teams that can survive a lot of hits, and so it's going to cost a lot of health from your side to get those kills finally. Rage Fist is going to come in, but the switch into the Pidgeot, even though they take 25%, is going to be enough. It's going to avoid the Rage Fist, and there goes Annihilate. Now, Bullet Punch comes out from the Scizor. That's kind of enough. That's going to be just kind of a dealt with. Victini's going to come in, force the switch into the Primarina on the V-Create just to keep him honest. But now Victini in a pretty dangerous spot. They're gonna go into the Zebstrika, possibly Zebstrika rocking with that overheat that I mentioned before. We will see it here. If not, and Primarina switches out. Yep, it is the overheat, and Primarina absolutely tanks it even with the critical hit. Now Zebstrika only on 5%, probably. It's going to outspeed and get the wild charge off. That kills Zebstrika, but now it's just Scizor left, so Victini can come in and finish off this matchup with the V-Create. Great play there in the end with those two Mons that had that Fire-type move, making sure they survived, making sure that you could take down the Primarina with one of them, making sure that no matter what happened, whichever one of them went down, whether it be Victini or Zebstrika, in fact, actually, Zebstrika was the one you wanted going down there because Zebstrika got to such a low HP that Bullet Punch, especially with it being super effective on Terra Zebstrika, very well played from Zebstrikemdown to make sure that Zebstrika got the kill it needed to get before Victini came back in. Very nicely done to lock up that win against a really difficult opponent in CamelConvention. We saw a lot of what makes Camel so difficult earlier in this matchup. We saw the really well done pivots from him. We saw the really bulky team that he's brought with that Scizor being bulky, not needing to invest in speed because it has that priority. With the Kyurem taking a lot more hits than maybe Zebstrikemdown was expecting, with the Sigilyph taking a lot of hits, with the Primarina taking a lot of hits, with Annihilate existing. But towards the end of that matchup, really, that Shuka Berry allows for the Empoleon to sit in there, does not get the kill because of that Flash Cannon and that bulk, because the Flash Cannon is not quite able to outdo the Roost plus leftovers. But we saw that through forcing that kill, Victini comes out, Victini gets the kill back, and overall play of the game has got to be switching into Pidgeot, taking that damage, knowing that if it's not Rage Fist there, then it's very likely that the Pidgeot goes down. Making that play anyway allows for this win to occur because Pidgeot gets in, gets the immunity, and then the Hurricane has to come in. No one wants to take Hurricane, and that is your game. Very impressive job from Zebstrikemdown, and if he can play like that, then we could see very much a lot of noise coming out of this team. So yeah, moving on into the Moonsault division, we've got two matches here. One of which was suggested, the other one I pulled because it seemed very close. Actually, no, both these were suggested. It was the next one that had different things. But we're gonna see Wellington Hoa with StarvinPig and Major Comeback, a suggested one, and also we're going to see Hipimochi versus Riptide. Both these were suggested. Both of them are close. These should be some good matches. First of all, we're gonna go with good to know for future reference, but unfortunately, have kind of set up in a way where if we have a lot of matches going, and we especially had to start cutting some, I ended up just going with one from Genesis this week. If you have more, please suggest them and that sort of stuff. I picked the one that I looked to be the best, and it was a good match, but yeah, so in future reference for Lonely Litten, like, I'll put out the poll, you put them in there, and then we'll have more from that division. But I'm generally this week I'm kind of going out of my way to support the ones who are put more emphasis on the ones that are adding more suggestions in. But anyway, moving on to Moonsault division, Major Comeback rocking in here, I believe rocking with the Glastrier. Yes, Major Comeback with that Glastrier Terra, along with the Mega Latios. But Glastrier, very popular one. That Ice typing, though it's not a great type, it, obviously great offensive type, and when you can Terra out of it to make it so your defensive profile is a lot better, can be very useful. Glastrier also with that legendary Pokemon level of damage, though it doesn't have much speed, very powerful there. On the other hand, we've got StarvinPig, rocking with the signature Scrafty. I believe we saw him before. I believe we've seen both these players before. They're very, very veteran members of the PWC going at it here in this matchup. So let's get right going with the Latios versus the Zeraora. And actually, I just noticed this will be a Latios off because StarvinPig rocking with the non-Mega Latios, and the Mega Latios coming from Major Comeback. So let's get right into it. we're going to see the immediate flip turn out into the Clodsire, blocking the Volt Switch from the Zeraora, so good start. However, Zeraora rocking with the taunt, preventing anything from the Clodsire. That's a really good bring from Major Comeback, knowing that Clodsire would likely be a switch in onto that Zeraora. So, yeah, going into it, we have a lot of just this early game posturing between the two teams, trying to land something, and there's a body slam para onto the Primarina. That could be big for later, and it's already kind of big because it allows for a free switch in to the Glacier, who's able to pick up the first kill of the matchup with that Terra Grass, Terra Blast, and now he does not take much damage from that Make It Rain because not much, but he misses the high horsepower. High horsepower would have done a ton of damage to that Goldango with the +1 attack. That being said, he does get the close combat off, knowing that Goldango would likely switch off, doing big damage into that Rillaboom. We also find that with that U-turn that there is leftovers onto that Petron, not Rocky Helmet, so it's now more of that posturing. However, Major Comeback is a Pokemon up, and that can be big. Just getting more HP than your opponent. Going to go back into the Rillaboom. Rillaboom is going to come in with the high horsepower, land a 50% onto that Petron, who now is in a dangerous spot. It's going to have to do the parting shot. It's going to go into the Clodsire, which doesn't really matter, but the Mega Latios comes in, so it's going to be forced into the Goldango on the Mega, who's going to throw Toxic out there, but that is immune. The Goldango is immune. It's going to go back into Doris, the Tinglu, who Goldango can't really do anything to, so back to more switching, but this allows for the spikes to get up, and so while we're doing this posturing, and it's important to know that Tinglu is losing health because Tinglu does not have really good, reliable recovery. However, this is a big deal. Major Comeback is getting a lot more value out of these turns in this early game, getting things set up while this early trading of not a ton of damage is going back and forth. Just now, there's the rocks coming up from the Wellington Ho-Oh, and the Toxic going into the Glacier. However, it's already in a good spot for Glacier. Oh, but there's the Levitate coming in from the the other Latios, and that allows for just that Toxic to start chipping down. Terra Blast can come in, not do a ton, and it looks like not much left for this Glacier. It's just going to go down to the Goldango to allow for a switch into the Zeraora, and now Clodsire coming out. Will it be an immediate taunt? No, it's going to be a knockoff. It's going to remove the Covert Cloak, revealing it as well. The taunt's going to come into that. It's not going to be able to recover. And yeah, now, even though that Gunk Shot's going to come out and do some damage, it's really a lot of playing catch-up. But the Mystical Fire is not going to kill, and it gets the poison on that second Gunk Shot. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. Because now that taunt is allowed out, the recover is allowed on the force kind of roost to keep the Mega Latios alive. And though the Luster Burst comes out, there's more poison damage coming in, and that Draco Meteor is just gonna be enough. It's probably revealed then that this is that this Latios is probably scarfed. The knockoff's gonna come in on that expected scarf, but now Zeraora is able to take down the Goldango, and this is a big deal because of how the Aiger Comeback set up the early turns, it's able to pick up these kills on kind of forced moves by StarvinPig and the Wellington Ho-Oh. That being said, though, the scarf on that Latios is actually doing a lot to get him back into this game by kind of forcing these revenge kills coming out, keeping the Pokemon count the same at this point. The bulk up revealed onto the Scrafty and the Terra Dark, looking for the burn on the Scald. He's going to get it first burn. First, Scald is going to burn, and even though he's not doing a lot of damage, that really neuters the offensive production, and he's going to Heart Swap. The Heart Swap revealed on the Rest, because the Rest with that Shed Skin is going to allow for the burn to go away. However, now with Tail Glow, we have a huge amount of boosts onto, I believe it is the Fion. Yeah, no, it's Manaphy, not Fion, full-on Manaphy. But Manaphy now, with that double defense, is actually in a really good spot to just set up onto the Scrafty. 3.5 times special attack, and there goes the Scrafty. Now, will it be enough from Rillaboom and Latios to take down this Manaphy? Because while Manaphy is incredibly dangerous here and will take down the Rillaboom, if Latios has if Latios can kill with Grass Knot, possibly. Oh, actually, no, because he's locked in, it doesn't matter. He will get the kill for the differential, but because he's locked in now, Pecharunt will be able to take this down because even though Dracoritos can come in, it's going to be doing diminishing returns, and the Malignant Chain's going to land. Does it poison? It does not poison, so technically a crit actually could matter here. The crit is not going to land, however, and yeah, at this point, you basically, if you are StarvinPig, you need a crit. Otherwise, it doesn't matter because your attack is just getting so low that nothing's going to do any damage. Draco Meteor not critting, Shadow Ball able to finish him off. So it's a 2-0 win for Major Comeback, but it's very, very, very close because here's the thing. Ting Lu in the back is only 33%. And on top, and basically, you know, it's a lot of these force moves that are really close. And honestly, with that Scarf being in the end, if a crit comes out onto the Pecharunt and maybe another crit into the Ting Lu, that is enough to take it. So it's very close with those crits, but just the Heart Swap plus the burn from the Manaphy really locked up the game. But it was honestly locked up pretty early because Major Comeback was just forcing moves from Wellington. And when you force those moves from the opposing player, you're able to play perfectly for those other players, and that was what kind of shut it down for these last couple bits. And yeah, welcome Silver, welcome. In case you didn't miss it, in case you missed it earlier, yeah, we're back. We're trying to do this. We might be also very delayed on week 4, just because I'm actually out of town for a while, but glad to see you again. And yeah, moving into our second Moonsault match, we have Hipimochi versus Riptide. Looking just quickly at the standings, yeah, Hipimochi kind of on an up and down sort of season right now, with the win-loss kind of, you know, bouncing back and forth. Meanwhile, Riptide, big contender here in the Moonsault division, currently second in the rankings. And also looking at our teams, Riptide we did see last week, I believe, with that Rhydon Terra Captain. Really cool one. We saw Rhydon lock up the game last week. Really a fun one. And then on the other hand, I believe it is... Ooh, what is the Terra for Hipimochi? Hipimochi is rocking with the Terra Braviary. Right, Terra Braviary. So it'll be a fun... It's kind of an offense versus defense thing here, with that Braviary being a much more offensive Terra type user. And Rhydon, while they can use offensive Terra, is a lot for that bulk with that Eviolite. So getting into it, we got that lead Gastrodon versus Zapdos Galar. So here we go. And we're going to see immediate switch into the Corviknight to immediately get knocked off and reveal the leftovers. So not like a very bulky Rocky Helmet maybe what you might have expected out of it. However, on the other hand, very bulky out of the Milotic revealing that Flamor Marvel Scale set. So moving into the Kyurem, who's almost certainly got either reveals the Earth Power, but probably has, or at least is bluffing that Freeze Dry against that Milotic. And this is, again, similar to what we were seeing last match. A lot of that posturing, getting the early damage versus the early hazards and that sort of stuff. We haven't been seeing a lot of hazards in the first couple weeks, so we're now seeing these hazards show up. And currently on the hazards, Hipimochi is leading quite a bit on it. However, there's been a lot of damage put into that Corviknight, and if Corviknight doesn't get a good switch in with the with damage, Corviknight can't really heal up. If Corviknight goes down, that's a pretty big loss for Hipimochi. But luckily, but the Earthquake comes in and completely neuters the ability of Corviknight to heal up, basically removing all of the Roost damage. That is a big move from Riptide to prevent the Roost on that Corviknight, leaving it at low HP, and now forcing Hipimochi to find a later turn to get it in and roost it on. Now we see the Rocky Helmet onto the Slowking. That is the true physical threat. That is going to be the true physical wall there for Rhydon, and it's going to be a Roost, but it's another Earthquake, and it's going to do 55%, so it's a net negative for Hipimochi. Hipimochi is not going to play it, and the Body Press comes out, also super effective, and doubled in power, so now down to 15%. It's a slightly less risky strategy. The Earthquake's going to come into the Gastrodon, and that's going to be enough to finish off the Gastrodon. First kill of the match. And Rhydon putting in a ton of work under Riptide. It's really incredible to see how well he's been using this 2-point underrated Terra Captain. Now coming in the other Terra Captain, Braviary, it's going to be into the Milotic. It's going to tank that Terra Blast. Milotic does have Recover, so it's very bulky here. What can Braviary do? It's going to just roost off its own damage, knowing that not much was coming back the other way. The Scald's going to come in, though. That's a critical hit, and that's a huge amount of damage onto that Braviary. No burn, though, so it's not fully neutered for the rest of the match. Now we see the Slowking come in. Gets that chilly reception up. That's going to go into the Kyurem. Kyurem now has that really high physical bulk with the snow boosting it. The Earth Power going to come in, only do about 20%. That probably means that either he was expecting a switch or does not have Freeze Dry on it. Nope, he does have the Freeze Dry. Was just expecting that switch. It's going to do 51%. The Recover is basically going to do nothing here as the burn actually puts it into the net negative. Earth Power going to come out, over-predicting. Once again, is Hipimochi thinking that the Melodic's going to go out, but now a Scale Shot going to be set up. Is it loaded dice? It is not loaded dice, but that speed boost is going to come in. Unfortunately, with the only 3 hits, it does leave one turn left, forcing another Scale Shot. However, now it's double speed and only half defense. And with that snow dropping, that is now very physically frail Kyurem, but he has double speed. Draco Meter is going to drop, but it's only going to do 20% because how bulky that the Terra Shell with the Terrapagos is going to make it. It's going to use Rock Polish on the switch, and he's going to get the Calm Mind up. Huge amounts of boost coming in from that Terrapagos. Very threatening Pokemon right now. Earth Power going to only do 35%, but it's a very bulky Mon. It's got that doubled speed. Very dangerous here for Hipimochi. If this Terrapagos can get time, it's going to run away with the game. The Slack-Offs, though, from this Slowking are going to come out. It's going to take 52%. That's a very dangerous moment. It's only 17%. Can it go? It's a greedy. Wow, it's greedy, and it's going to cost Riptide losing with that second Rock Polish Greed. It's going to cost him the Terrapagos entirely. That was a chance to sweep, and instead it's going to be down to a 4v4 here. Sharpedo's going to come in, and he's going to switch onto the Protect. Protect is revealed. Speed Boost is revealed. Not surprising here, but the Flip Turn's going to do like no damage into that incredibly bulky Terra Water Rhydon. The Body Press going to come in, take down that Braviary, and could we see another kill? Or the Earth Power is going to hit, and that's going to be the end of Rhyhorn. But I believe that is 2 or 3 kills from that Rhyhorn. Plus, I mean, even if it didn't kill the Corviknight, it basically caused the Corviknight's death. So now we're going to see the protection come out from that Sharpedo. Interesting move here because even though it is outspeeding, it is weak. So the Psychic Feint to come out, but that Psychic Feint is enough. That's going to take down the Galarian Zapdos, and now big damage coming out onto that thing with the speed boost, boosting the Sharpedo past what it needed. Unfortunately, though, there's a lot of damage coming in from the Tapu Koko, and that's going to be enough for Riptide to finish it off. But, ooh, really a lot closer than I think Riptide was hoping. That greeded Rock Polish on the Terrapagos proving to be very, very costly for Riptide, only winning by 2. However, he had it locked up with that really fast Tapu Koko. Unfortunately, I feel like if there were the ability to use maybe a slightly stronger, if Wave Crash, I don't know if Wave Crash is available on a Sharpedo, but maybe Sharpedo switching out there on the flip turn, it may have been better for Sharpedo to just stay in, try to land that kill. We saw how much damage that speed boosted Sharpedo was able to do, and we knew that Sharpedo was not going to be able to come back in on the Koko. So I don't know, it's very close, a couple different moves, different. Big thing though is Rhydon was again an MVP. Rhydon got 2 kills, got the kill on the Gastrodon, got the kill on the Braviary, but I would honestly, if I were watching this, I would probably give it most of the value on the kill for the Corviknight. Preventing that Corviknight from being able to heal back up was a huge reason why Hipimochi just did not have the switch-ins they were looking for, and it was mainly because of how punishing that Earthquake was on the Roost, and even further, how much, when he got that Iron Defense set up for the Rhydon, how much he could do with that Body Press once that Flying type was removed, making it super effective. With that being able to happen, and being able to nullify the Roost, it allowed for a lot safer option for the Rhydon to go into. So, overall, another great bring another great build from the Rhydon, and I think we're going to see that Rhydon may be one of the most valuable Terra Captains that we just weren't expecting coming into the season. So yeah, great game from Riptide and Hipimochi. Love the Rhydon, and gotta mention, good on Hipimochi getting that kill onto the Terrapagos, getting back into the game. Did a lot of damage into Tapu Koko. Unfortunately, just that Terrapagos did do a lot of build, and with that Rhydon, just underestimating probably how bulky it is. I believe there was a mention earlier in this match from those who are watching, yeah, what the fuck is this Rhydon? A lot of people were mentioning this. It's a lot bulkier than you would think, and it was able to turn this match on its head. Yeah, going in now to the Sky Strike division, had more references from them, and we're actually going to go first into Savage Raccoon versus NBA Leezeypzee. I believe so. Savage Raccoon would be where we got it. Oh yeah, Savage Raccoon versus Leezeypzee. This is a 1-0 matchup, pretty important matchup here, and yeah. So Savage Raccoon took it really close. He is unfortunately on a losing streak, but this was a very close matchup against a now 3-0 Margaritaville Marowak with Leezeypzee there. This is just to mention how close. I feel like okay, now that I mention it, because I do see it in the chat, I don't think it wasn't that people weren't expecting Rhydon to be good. It's that I feel like when we were looking at Terra Captains, you know, we didn't see many Rhydon picks, and I feel like a lot of people may have overlooked it because I believe that maybe one of our Rhydon only has about 1 to 2 Terra Captains in the entire league. We've seen a lot more out of the Scrafties and the Glastriers and stuff like that. We've not seen much out of the Rhydon, so I feel like that kind of considers it to be in that underrated tier. But yeah, so looking at this first close matchup, we've got from Leezeypzee the Terra Ditto. And let me just double check this. Yeah, Leezeypzee rocking the 3-0 with the Terra Captain Ditto, which is absolutely heat. We love to see a Ditto in there. That's a really cool setup, and just it forces you to have to play it super different every single matchup. So that's a really cool set because you have to bring Ditto every single time, and it's also a big mind game onto everyone else because they know the Ditto is coming and they have to figure out how to deal with Ditto every time. On the other hand, though, with Savage Raccoon, we're going to see the Terra Captain Hoopa, who's another one of those very much 4x weakness type Pokemon. Very much could get a lower point total because of their 4 times weakness, and with that Terra removing that means that they could have a lot of untapped value in there. So that's what we're seeing here. And here in the game, we're going to see it lead off from the Hisuian Samurott versus the lead Miltank. So let's get right into it. Alright, I don't know why it's not loading the textures for the Miltank, but that is a Miltank, as you can tell from Moo Moo Metals. It's going to get quite a bit of damage here onto the Hisuian Samurott, and there we go. There's 2 layers of spikes, and the Aqua Jet's going to come out. It's not going to take it down, though. The Milk Drink's going to come out from the Miltank. Miltank's in a great spot here, and it's going to force the switch out from the... You're going to force the switch out from the Hisuian Samurott not being able to take it down. Earthquake's going to come out, and with the rough skin, there's a lot of damage coming into that Miltank. Miltank's going to go down, but so does Garchomp on the Ice Punch, which is 4 times super effective. And there comes the Ditto. Ditto immediately transforming into the opposing Regieleki. It's going to be faster. It's going to use Volt Switch, get out into the Celebi. Big damage going into that Regieleki, and now he also knows the entire moveset of the Regieleki because he saw it on his Ditto. Rapid Spin, however, going to be removing those spikes from that Samurott's immediate thing, so that's pretty big because now Samurott not having a ton of value and at low health now. So we will see how it goes. The Volt Switch going to come in, barely not kill onto the Galarian Moltres, revealing the Citrus Berry, which also allows it to barely live, but the flinch comes on the Sleep Talk, and now we are in trouble because now we have a Choice Scarf +1 attack, and so now it's going to force into the Clefable, who is able to get up the rocks and avoid the Will-O-Wisp, so it gets the knockoff, which reveals the Life Orb and removes it from, I guess it doesn't reveal the Life Orb, but it removes the Life Orb from the Rotom Wash. So now going into the Celebi, Wish is going to come up. And I think the big thing here for Savage Raccoon is there's not a lot of damage. It's going to be having to get that damage from the Hoopa and the Regieleki, and unfortunately that's not a lot of damage because, as you can see from Celebi is just tanking hit after hit from this Clefable, and it's just kind of forcing it. Plus, Clefable isn't Magic Guard, which is revealed from that Leezeypzee doing damage. So what is this Clefable? It might be that unaware set, possibly to avoid damage from avoid extra damage from a possible like boosting Ditto or something like that, especially with that Galarian Moltres giving that boost to the Ditto. That being said, here comes the Hoopa. Hoopa already with a kill, and Hoopa's probably going to pick up a second one here, as Shadow Ball, even though it is resisted, is going to be enough to take out that Hisuian Samurott. And Leezey is down 3-4 at the moment. Shadow Ball going to come and do big damage, but is going to drop special attack, but it's not Terra'd, and that's a big move. I don't know why there's not the Terra coming out from the Hoopa there. If the Terra were to come out, I'm pretty sure Hoopa would have been able to take down that Tornado Styrian, and now it is just that damage from the Regieleki that is going to be coming out. I guess there's some damage coming out from the Clefable, but it's not much, and there goes Clefable. So it's just Regieleki and Toxapex and a Dream. So now, but he does take it down, and now it's going to have to be this Ditto having to take down thing. Unfortunately, though, yep, there's a Terra Ground revealed, and that's going to completely nullify that Regieleki, and now Ditto in a commanding position should be enough to take down this Toxapex, unless it is some sort of electric berry. It is not. The Ice Beam's going to come out, but it's not going to do enough. It's gonna, yeah. Overall, that is a beautiful endgame by that Ditto. It looks like Leezey was probably looking to get that 1v1 matchup between the Regielekis later in the game. So getting that damage, getting that Terra, that was what won the game. He planned this out from the beginning, it looks like, to get that 1v1 at the end of the game. It worked to perfection, and there goes the Ditto taking down the win. And yes, I think Volt Switch probably was going to be better, because it would force Ditto to be Toxapex, and I think that was just something that maybe Savage just didn't think about. However, it is good to bring up that had Ditto been able to win, and we don't know the full set of this Toxapex, we just know that Ice Beam was on it. Had Ditto been able to win the 1v1 versus Toxapex, knowing what we know now with this Terra Ground, it was going to be able to completely nullify the Regieleki with that Toxapex bulk, plus the only attack that was able to do any damage from the Eleki being Rapid Spin. So it's a tough endgame regardless, but I think it probably would have been slightly better if he could have gotten it to be Pex, just because of the nature of Pex. But I think the big thing is, if that Hoopa was able to, if the Hoopa was going to Terra, especially if it was able to Terra away from a dark type weakness and maybe into a dark resistance, a Terra Fairy, for instance, then that would have also locked up this endgame as well. So overall, yeah, a move or two away, and for one, I struggle a lot with Terra. I struggle with knowing when to Terra. That was a time where you had to Terra, and unfortunately, without it, Savage unfortunately takes the loss. But we see we see why Leezey is now 3-0 with this Ditto, because he's really good at piloting it. And you know what? Savage played it really well. Had Leezey on the back foot for a lot, so I'm confident the first win will be coming from him sooner rather than later. Now moving on into the other matchup that we got suggested, it is Mimileader versus Zeroga. Looking into it real quick, that would be that's Zeroga versus Mimico. Zeroga also struggling here towards the bottom of the division. And Mimico, after a first week loss, has been on a bit of an upswing here, getting up into this upper level of teams. Looking quickly at it, I believe we've seen Zeroga before with that Terra Embor, which is a cool one. I believe we saw him last week with that Terra Embor. And on the other hand, we have with Mimico rocking the Terra Delphox. So this is kind of cool. It's two of the least appreciated fire starters in Pokemon going up against each other as the captains. So let's get right into it. All right, we're going to see the lead of the Shocks versus the Great Tusk. The Great Tusk is going to lead off with those Stealth Rocks, preventing the Protect coming in. And that's a big deal because, yeah, the Protect is showing why Sandy Shocks was just in an inherently pretty bad situation, revealing that Protect because it was going to get one-shot by the Headlong Rush had it decided to come out on the first turn. That Headlong Rush is also going to do a ton of damage into the Gigalith. I don't know why it was setting up Sand, and it comes in. It's going to be huge damage from the Great Tusk. The extra sensory going to come out from the Greninja, and it's going to be enough with that drop special defense. But it's huge damage into that. It's that huge takedown of the Gigalith early. It's going to make it a 5v5, and I don't know how much value the Sandstorm can come in with to prevent. That would have meant that Gigalith is still not like that big a deal. Gigalith losing there is very difficult. We're going to see Light Clay onto the, probably Light Clay I would assume, on the Prankster Sableye, getting the dual screens up for the nasty plot reveal. Delphox dual screens, not taking any damage because it is that what is it, heavy duty boots now, and with the Terra flying, Terra Blast is going to come out and do 57%. The Flare Blitz is going to come back and do 58%, and it's a very close matchup. But Endure actually going to get revealed on the Sucker Punch. The Sucker Punch game being played, and Zeroga does not use Sucker Punch the second time. It's a win for the Delphox on the prediction that it won't be in. Doesn't matter though. The Ice Beam's going to come in from likely, I believe that would be a Scarf Nidoking, or would it? Yeah, it would be likely a Scarf Nidoking with these Ice Beams, so he's going to get the Light Screen back up. Oh, and that's a misplay. That's a pretty big misplay. I don't know if Mimico realized that it was a Scarfed Pokemon, but the Encore doing absolutely nothing and just wasting a turn of Light Screen there, wasting a turn of Reflect. Sunny Day self-setting up from the Walking Wake, though, is allowing it to still go with this late core of Venusaur and Walking Wake, but the spikes are doing a lot of damage, forcing not a lot of switches to come out. However, Walking Wake is able to take it down. It's a 2v3. It's gonna be that Scarf. It's a Scarf one. Yup, the Scarf Nidoking to come out. Not gonna do a lot of damage though, and Hydra's team is able to take it down. And overall, even if Greninja can take this down, the dual screens has provided enough bulk, and it's gonna provide enough again. Dragon Pulse is gonna come in and finish off that Greninja. So it's gonna be a 3-0 win for Mimico, even though Zeroga did not reveal, but had that Scarf and kind of prevented Mimico with the bad move using that Encore when it really did not matter at all. That being said, though, I think Gigalith being lost so early, though in this endgame, I don't know if it matters quite as much. Losing a Pokemon that early was a big deal. And honestly, losing basically two Pokemon with the big damage coming into Necrozma early before Greninja was able to come in and take it down was big. And that allowed Mimico to be on the front foot the entire time. So even when those bad moves came in, the Light Screen plus Reflect combo allowed for Mimico to just send in Walking Wake and not have to pivot a ton, allowing for those spikes to not be as valuable as they may have seemed at first, and allowed him to win. If more switches were forced onto Mimico, maybe if Mimico's put more onto that back foot, I think this changes very quickly. This is a lot closer than the 3-0 score reveals because yeah, you can't switch out Walking Wake at this point. Walking Wake is low. Venusaur is going to take that 25%. Zeraora is going to take that 25%, and pivoting that quickly, your Pokemon become on a timer. So a lot of good things coming out of Zeroga, but I think just the ability for Mimico to set that tone and claim the momentum early was the big deciding factor in this matchup. Moving on to our favorite little Twink division. We've got the Twinkle division, of course, and we've got two matchups again. We're looking at Cinderace versus KawaiiPotato. Really close matchup here. This was suggested by I'm seeing on this by suggestion, definitely not by Cinderace, right? Definitely not by Cinderace. I can confirm, definitely not by Cinderace, definitely not, even though it says in there a lot of things defending what happens towards the end of this game, apparently. But you know, we're seeing KawaiiPotato's actually first matchup. I believe we have seen them both weeks, but they've lost both weeks. This will give them a chance to actually be in the spotlight on the winning side for the first time, so that's kind of cool. And also, Cinderace battling through a pretty even season, but, you know, pretty interesting little game we got going here. Of course, we've seen KawaiiPotato multiple times at this point. Seems to be one of the favorites of the Twinkle, not favorites, but one of the favorites to watch out of the Twinkle division, it seems. A lot of close matchups from them. And they're looking at that Terra Guzzlord. We've talked about it before. 4 times effectiveness. Really interesting Terra Captain because it's not that fast, but it has a lot of bulk with the really high HP stat. On the other hand, with that Cinderace, I believe Cinderace we have seen before as well, with Lapras. Yeah, Guzzlord is interesting because Guzzlord, yeah, does not have great moves. Really feels like it has a lot to be desired, but it can be interesting, and we'll see how it's played in this 2 very low point total Terra Captains here with that Lapras and Guzzlord. And And yeah, Lapras for Cinderace just makes sense given that he ran a team league where Lapras had a lot of impact. So let's get right into it with the lead of Guzzlord versus the Tapu Lele. Interesting setup here because Tapu Lele, yes, very much good, but we'll probably, if Guzzlord doesn't switch out immediately, we will see that Terra, and we'll see how it goes immediately. Here we go. It's going to be a Terra. It's going to be a Terra fighting type, interesting, and Steel Roller revealed to remove the terrain from the Tapu Lele, a really interesting move that we don't really see get much use. Tapu Lele is going to be able to set up the dual screens, however, and we will see if there's anything to block that dual screens or break it with that, maybe a brick break on one of these Pokemon, including this one right here. Interesting, we see that this is probably a Technician or a Steadfast Hitmontop, likely Technician, but it's not Intimidate, which is really interesting. Kawaii trying to just burn off some of these turns. It's revealed now that it's definitely that Light Clay on the Tapu Lele, maybe a more defensive build on it. And we're going to see the Flamethrower come in and do about 25% to that Guzzlord. But Guzzlord now with Fighting type is going to reveal the Body Press. Body Press does not get weakened by Intimidate, I don't believe. However, doesn't do much damage. And the Draco Meter is going to come out, do 50%, but it's not quite enough to take down the Landorus Therian. Will the Guzzlord switch out? The Guzzlord does not switch out. In fact, the Landorus switches out. Gooey does activate, lowering the speed and going to kill the Guzzlord, but it does remove the item, removing the Assault Vest and revealing that it's going to be all attacking moves on this Goodra. Interesting, though, we see immediate switch in with the Autonomize, big damage coming into it, but it's a weakness policy absolutely baited by KawaiiPotato to now have a basically now have a shell smashed Aegislash, though it does get the lowered speed from the Gooey. Fire is revealed, but the critical hit is still not enough. Terra Blast is going to finish off that Aegislash. So weakness policy Aegislash not quite doing enough, even though it was a really interesting moveset and a really powerful threat. The Mega Aerodactyl going to come in. It's going to take down the Lapras. Then we're going to see low HP. It's not going to be the Intimidate's not enough, and there goes Landorus Therian. It's now down to 4v3. Rock Slide coming in doing about 46%. It gets the flinch. That's a big flinch, though. Still not in a one-shot scenario because of that Intimidate. So he's going to get it. Volt Switch out. Hitmontop coming on in. Switching into the Clefable on a likely. Yep, there's a Psychic. Not a Moonblast, interesting. But here comes the Moonblast back the other way. The Light Screen is getting set up. And the Reflect. Now it's really big because KawaiiPotato wants to stall out this thing. But it's going to be hard with the amount of damage coming out from the Tapu Lele with that Moonblast Psychic hybrid. And here it goes. Here we go. The Earthquake's going to come in. It's going to finish off that Tapu Lele. It's a 2v3. Dragon Dance coming out. It's a possible greed. It's a nasty plot from the other side, and he's going to outspeed. Earthquake's only going to do 36% though, and the Ice Beam's going to be enough with the nasty plot to finish it off. And now it's in a really dangerous spot because these screens are still up. The Mach Punch is not going to do enough with those screens. Sludge Bomb going to come back in, get the poison, get 44%. It's one shot away, but the Mach Punch is going to finish off the Darkrai, and now it's a 1v2. Rotom Heat just needs to not take a lot of damage from this. It's going to go down to 13%. Volt Switch is going to come out and finish off the Hitmontop. And now, the big thing here is Galvantula. Can Galvantula get the kill? It can get the kill with Bug Buzz. However, if for whatever reason gone for like a Thunder, maybe it had to get Thunder for extra damage, and that missed, even with Compound Eyes, then that was a one-shot. It was one turn away either way. The flinch is brutal on the Rotom Heat, lowering that health a lot more than maybe Cinderace was hoping, and it comes back to mind as that is a win for KawaiiPotato. First win of the season for KawaiiPotato, and it was a close one. Very close one here, only with the Galvantula left. Multiple times I think we saw on both sides very strong Pokemon with these setup moves. The Nasty Plot on Darkrai, the Autonomize plus the Weakness Policy on the Aegislash, but in the end, neither of them were able to really capitalize like they were hoping they could. Oh yeah, we even saw Rock Polish onto the Landorus Therian. None of these were really able to capitalize though, and that's good play from both sides to prevent those sweeps from occurring. It's why this got to be so close. also really impressive from Kawaii to be able to work through the screens getting set up multiple times during this game and still being enough to take down the Pokemon. And those screens made it very close, but Kawaii was able to navigate the first set by not taking a lot of damage and kind of stalling out the first set of screens. And then the second set of screens being able to just have enough damage to hit through those screens and take down Darkrai and eventually Rotom Heat. But yeah, really close, really impressive match out of both of them. And yeah, when this was submitted, I was brought up that Cinderace did get unlucky with that flinch. However, good to bring up, when people are spamming Rock Slide and stuff, that sort of stuff just happens. And in a matchup as close as this, yeah, that stuff is going to play a huge role. And yeah, just it's one of those things where flinches, they happen, they suck, and you know, there's not much you can do about it, and that's just how close games go. That's Pokemon, and it's a good matchup from both sides, really well played from both sides. And if maybe Cinderace was able to capitalize just a little bit more on those light screen reflect combos, then maybe, and he's on the other side of this. So it's a good match. Now moving on to our other one that was suggested, Froggerman versus DTN. Froggerman versus DTN is, I believe, a pretty big matchup. Yeah, Froggerman here at the very top of the division, and DTN, where is he? Where is Froggerman? All right, see our schedule. Week 3, Froggerman, another 1-0 matchup. DTN down here, he took the first win, but now he's been down. He's, as you can tell though, from the differential only being -3, that he's actually had this is another really close matchup against a top player in the division. So let's get right into it. Looking at our teams first, looking at our Terra captains, of course. Froggerman, who is top of this division, rocking with that Zygarde 10%. We're looking at the dog. I believe this is the second time we have seen this team with this Zygarde 10%. And on the other side with DTN, we're looking at the Cinccino, who has a really good set of moves, either going with that Skill Link plus Tidy Up to get a really good setup there with another item ability, or just rocking Loaded Dice with the Technician to just get extra damage out of its multi-hit moves without needing the multi-hit ability. So let's get right into it. We're seeing the Nidoking, which we saw use for a lot of damage in a previous matchup, and Drapion on the other end. So let's get right into it. We're going to see the immediate Earth Power. Interesting that DTN does not actually expect, or maybe respect is the better word, the immediate attack out of the Nidoking, and that's going to immediately put him on the back foot, down 5-6. Gets big damage into that Thundurus, but the Thundurus going to hit with the paralysis into the Skeledirge, and that's dangerous. And getting that Volt Switch into the Conkeldurr, that should set up Guts onto the Conkeldurr, and that should get a ton of damage into the Skeledirge. And this is dangerous now, because DTN now taking some big hits on some great opening moves by Froggerman, showing why he may be one of the best, if not the best, in this division. But survival with the Wish Protect set on the Florias, yep, reveals the facade, so this is definitely Guts Conkeldurr, and it is probably Flame Orb. So yeah, but then Floriga is able to take down that Conkeldurr, diffuse the threat, and here we go. Yeah, it could. All right, here we go. It's Toxic and Thunder Wave on the Thundurus, interestingly. Gets the Thunder Wave onto the Cinccino. That's a huge one, because now Cinccino not able to pick up much value out of its really good moveset and really good speed stat, mainly. The knockoff's going to come in and remove the Loaded Dice, so it was a Loaded Dice Technician set onto the Cinccino, not able to capitalize on it. And Froggerman is in a commanding position here early on. Gets the Sucker Punch for 50%, kind of just have to take that Sucker Punch damage when you're at this point in DTN to get that kill. Now Nidoking coming out, you're going to have to be forced into a switch. The Sludge Wave coming in on that switch though, and it's going to get huge damage. And now the Protect's going to come just to get a bit more of that leftovers recovery, but it's going to have to be a switch out unless you want to take that damage. Yep, you're going to take that damage, and Floriga is going to go down. It is a 4v2, and DTN has to get back into this game. He's going to live on 1% knockoff. It reveals the Choice Scarf, and now he outspeeds. The Fire Punch does not kill. It is going to be a 1v4, and can the Quark Drive booster energy revealed on the Iron Bundle, even though it seems really dire, the Thunder Waves can come out on that Prankster ability. Thundurus, Freeze Dry is going to take it down though. And now, Zygarde 10% going to come in. If it Terras here, it does not Terra. The 1,000 Arrows does not kill. Freeze Dry picks up its third kill. And now it is dangerous because Chi-Yu comes in. And I believe Chi-Yu should have this. with the Dark Pulse, it is going to be enough. But if it were like a more bulky or maybe fire type only attack set, then there was a chance that that could have been a full reverse sweep from the Iron Bundle, possibly hitting with that Hydro Pump. And we see just how much value this Iron Bundle has. That Iron Bundle was an incredibly good spot during the end of that game, even when it was kind of forced to be in that position. However, I think maybe if we had seen that Iron Bundle and maybe seen that to retake momentum earlier in the game, we could have had a lot more from DTN. Unfortunately, though, only able to claim differential points as Iron Bundle just came in a little too late. And the big moves were that those early game setters, the immediate one shot onto the Drapion with that Choice Scarf Nidoking, and the immediate one shot after the Will-O-Wisp gets that Guts Up early onto the Conkeldurr. So losing those two Pokemon early was a big set for DTN. Now, I will say, no Triple Axle. It's interesting. I don't think... Maybe there was Triple Axle, but it was just agreed on the Cinccino with the Tidy Up to try to get more damage and also try to recoup some of the losses it had from its speed stat getting lowered. That speed stat getting halved by the Thunder Wave was actually a bit of a death knell for the Cinccino because it really just wasn't able to get much... It was not able to get its attacks off really just because it does not have that speed set, and it really requires that outspeeding most Pokemon in order to get things going. I think the Tidy Up was more of just like a, if he switches, maybe I get a better opportunity, and if not, I'm losing this Pokemon anyway. So, really good from DTN to get this back to a 1-0 game, but definitely very strong attack, and we see why Froggerman is at the top of the standings here in a actually very, very interestingly parity-rich Twinkle division as our top leader. Oh, Gallade Triple Axle, actually. Yeah, Gallade Triple Axle. We do not see the Gallade Triple Axle, which is interesting. We saw the Fire Punch instead, which is... Yeah, that is strange. Another option, even if it wasn't Triple Axle, could have been with that... what was it? Psycho Cut. Psycho Cut would have killed there. It's a strange move to go for Fire Punch, which means that likely it did not have any sort of psychic stab either, which is... It's a choice to be sure. I guess it has that. I guess the final move in that knockoff Fire Punch Sword Stance set would have been some sort of fighting move to take down the Chi-Yu. But yeah, it's interesting that Gallade didn't have that sort of options. I guess with the stab options, it chose for fighting and then it chose for Fire Punch and knockoff. But I'm not exactly sure why some of these choices were made. But definitely think maybe Triple Axle would have been good. Also, a Psychic type move would have been really a good move. But as I was saying though, there's a really good set of parity because our top two in this division have only a +4 and 0 differential between them. The only ones to win these 3 games. There are some higher differentials here with the +9 from Phantom, with the +8 from High, but both of them have also taken a loss. So it's really interesting to see as this progresses how this shakes up, because this could easily be a very parity-rich division here that we'll have to watch. Because anyone in these top 10 right now, anyone in these top 10 have a really good shot of taking some of these top spots. Because as we saw here from Froggerman probably in the best position of all of them. But even then, the only other 3-0 team took a loss in their 4th week, and we have not seen Froggerman play this week. So if Froggerman takes a loss, then we could have the first division, I believe, with no one having an undefeated record. So definitely watch for Twinkle Division to be a really interesting barn burner division here in the PWC. Moving on to Doom Division, we only had one suggestion from Doom Division, so to give some time, since we have two matches from a lot of other matches, we're just going to do the one. It's going to be Wolf the Best versus Hotrodtoaster, and this is a big one, because if we look in the standings, a bit of spoilers, but moving into this division, Hotrodtoaster is our #1 player in the division with a +13 3-0 record, and Wolfpack for Life we're looking at 2-1 with a +6, but both of these were 2 top players in this division, and still are top players in this division. So let's get right into their different teams a little bit. Wolfpack for Life, again, we're going to see another Lapras. We're going to see another Lapras out here, and we saw some good stuff from the Lapras with Cinderace, but we're going to see more Lapras coming out from Wolfpack, which is always kind of a cool one. Love Lapras as a Terra Captain. Really is an undervalued Terra Captain, I feel like, by the only 2-point measure. As a Terra Captain, I feel like Lapras should easily be 3 or 4 very powerful Pokemon, very good. And on the other hand, we're going to see from Hotrodtoaster the Terra Fortress, which I feel like Fortress is another one that is not seen that often amongst these different teams, but Fortress, with that 4 times effectiveness, I've mentioned this many before, all the Pokemon with 4 times weaknesses have a lot of untapped value in their point totals. So we'll see how Fortress can do in this matchup. We will actually see Fortress leading, probably set up hazards against a very aggressive lead from Wolfpack with the Dracovish. So let's get right into it. Dracovish immediately going to land a huge hit into the Fortress, Fortress losing 2/3 from that Vicious Rend. And now with Drizzle set up, Vicious Rend's going to come out and hit huge damage with the boosted damage. I don't know why Pelipper switches in, but I guess it switches in because Ogerpon Wellspring now gets that rain boost, and it forces the switch out from the Dracovish, who's likely more Strong Jaw, not that Swift Swim. And now gets the knockoff into the Shaman, now gets into the Fortress. Now Fortress able to do a lot of blocking against that Shaman, force the switch out, get the better switch into the Goldango. Goldango is not Air Balloon, and so is weak to ground. The Mega Swampert comes out, and there it is. It is going to be Swift Swim Swampert, and Swift Swim Swampert is going to... Oh, it's a Super Fang, so revealing that it's most likely not a Choice Scarf set out of that Dracovish with the Super Fang coming out. And now we're going to see Thunder Asterion just after the rain subsides, so Thunder Asterion can't use Weather Ball or possible Thunder in there. Gonna get Pelipper back in to set that rain, but can Pelipper go down? No, Pelipper's gonna be switched out, and Power Gem is gonna be enough to finish off that Terra Fortress before it can even Terra. Unfortunately, there goes Heatran on that Swift Swim Swampert, which is in a great spot here with a lot of Pokemon. It's gonna use Flip Turn, get another 20% onto that Shaman. Shaman only at half health, but Overqwil gonna come in. Overqwil with that Swift Swim as well is going to get some good damage and is in a really good spot against the Shaman, who's only going to get 25% because that Synthesis is not as powerful in the rain. Crunch is actually going to come in and do a ton of damage. I don't know why the Goldango switch was the choice, but Crunch is going to take down the Goldango. And now we're going to see the Prankster Sunny Day out of Grafaiai, but it's going to take a lot of damage. Encore is not enough because the Prankster Cash, because of Overqwil being that dark typing, is a big misplay by Wolfpack, and that's an easy one to make. Luckily, though, he does not have the Choice Scarf ability on this thing. It may even be Swift Swim onto this thing. Vicious Rend, again, a bad choice from Wolfpack, and there goes the Woodhammer to finish off. Maybe just choosing to not attack, but it's interesting. A couple bad wasted moves here from Wolfpack, and now he's in a bad spot here against Hotrodtoaster. Lapras is going to go in with those freeze dries, take out the Overqwil, and that's pretty big because now with Overqwil being out of here, Thunder is going to land, and that's going to kill. Now we have Shaman versus the world. If Shaman, however, can take out Zero, it's going to resist the Thunder, and I don't believe there are any flying type moves coming out from this Thunder, as Thunder is steering not with a lot of moves available to it. It may have a poison move, but the Synthesis is not going to be able to do enough. It's going to just have to tank these Thunders and hopefully just keep Synthesizing. But there's the Para out of the Thunder. Rain's going to go away, so Synthesis... Oh, but the Thunder's going to miss! This looks to be a choice. It looks to probably be a choice thing. It's going to go into the Wellspring. A second Paralysis! And unfortunately, that's going to probably do it here. As though Synthesis comes out, it's not enough to be at full health and be able to start using attacking moves. And there's another Paralysis. Paralysis absolutely shredding the Shaman at the end of the game, forcing it to be on the back foot and using these Synthesises, allowing just a lot of damage to be brought out and a lot of turns wasted from this Ogerpon. The Giga Drain is going to be enough to keep going unless that Para procs again. Giga Drain is going to hit again. It's going to do 30%. It's going to heal it back. The Play Rust going to hit again, and the Giga Drain... This is a lot closer than we may think, because now the Paralysis gods are back on the side of Wolfpack, and Wolfpack's going to pick up now 37% health. Thunderous is going to come in. Can Thunderous kill? It does have the Sludge Wave. It was just choice. Okay, so Hotrodtoaster does end up taking the win there. Could have saved a bit of differential had it just swapped out of the Ogerpon earlier to swap back into that Thunderous that really Shaman could not do much with. So it could have saved a differential there, but... Overall, biggest thing were the almost back-to-back misplays with that Vicious Rend. We don't know. Let's see here. we have the team sheet for Hotrodtoaster, but we do not have the team sheet for Wolfpack. So we do not know if this was technically, this could have been choiced with Superfang, which would have been interesting. But that the back-to-back Prankster blocked, like the Dark type blocking the Prankster Encore, and then the Water Absorb blocking that Vicious Rend really just put Wolfpack way behind. And though Shaman's able to make it back a little bit, it's just not enough. And Hotrodtoaster is going to take that win, hold on to the #1 spot with this Rain team. And it's really cool actually to see the Rain team with the Fortress, because we did not see the Fortress Terra. And it's interesting because of how Rain works, because of its fire weakening effect. Actually, it allows for Fortress to actually take advantage of the defensive typing that is actually pretty good for Bug and Steel, though it does have that 4x weakness. By reducing that 4x weakness and then only terraing when necessary, that actually brings a lot of value out of this Fortress, even though we didn't see it in this matchup. So really good team out here with this really diverse, Rain Core, with that Overquill getting that Swift Swim, with the Swampert getting Swift Swim, and with Thundurus being able to spam Thunders. So yeah, I think Draco probably was choiced. Probably. I'm going to assume that, but regardless, it's kind of brutal. So yeah. Overall, Wolf the best. I think there's still a lot of potential on this team, but clearly Rain is dominating the Doom division. So, yeah, when Thunder roars, that spells doom for the other members of this division. Now, moving on to the Inferno division, we have a couple really interesting matchups. We had a bunch of different suggestions from here. So we have 2 matchups picked here. It's going to be one between Dr. Mario and Luffy the Cook. Luffy the Cook, of course, being let's see here. Sorry, when they don't add their actual names, it's kind of hard to find. Yeah, Kaneki here against Dr. Mario. And then our other matchup is going to be Jyrule versus J-Fan, which will be our J-Fan versus Aiger. So first of all, we will look at Dr. Mario versus Luffy the Cook, or Kaneki. Dr. Mario versus Kaneki. Kaneki we have seen before. Kaneki is rocking that. Kaneki is rocking with that Terra Frostlass, which is a cool one, very fast, frail, but has a lot of abilities with that, with possible, hazard leads, with the just damage leads, with the curse body I believe that it gets, and also with Destiny Bond sort of shenanigans, has a lot of options there. And on the other side here, I believe it is from Dr. Mario, yes, the Terra Palo Sand, which another one that it's cool that we're seeing. I think last week we saw a lot of the much more stock standard, your Scrafties and your Tyrantrums and that sort of stuff. This week we're seeing a lot more of these more interesting Terra picks that are around the league, including this one here with the Palisand, which we'll see how Palisand is used. I haven't seen a lot of Palisand, so let's get right into it. We're going to see lead of the Azumarill getting that attack drop, though it does have the huge power to kind of buoy it, and the Landorus lead, probably looking to set up those rocks, though we'll see if he switches out with that Azumarill being there. Getting right into it. Yep, it's going to be a lead-off U-turn. Not worried about the Aqua Jet, but worried about that. The Liquidation coming into the Kartana, who's actually going to tank it pretty well, because even though Kartana's special defense is super weak, the physical defense is pretty strong still. Gets that knockoff into the Zapdos, and now we're going to go back to the early game posturing as the U-turn comes out from the Zapdos. So now, Palisand's going to come in against the Landorus. The U-turn's going to be shown off. It's not Rocky Helmet on the Palisand. Instead, it's going to be that Stealth Rock, but Charizard has gotten in. And Charizard is that Mega Charizard with the Drought, showing off a Sun Team. He's going to miss the Focus Blast, just like how everyone should expect that Focus Blast miss all the time. But the second one is going to land for that critical hit for the kill. However, it's going to lose 42% on that Charizard because of that first miss. And with that Rocks being in, that's going to do 50% to it. That basically means that Charizard has one switch in left and it's going to be out like no health. Maybe not even that. So Crobat is going to take down the Landorus on that fast Brave Bird. Now, Crobat actually in a pretty good spot. Though Walking Wave with that Photosynthesis is going to reveal the special attack boost. Unless it is Choice Scarfed, which it probably isn't. This thing is going to just have that special attack boost. Azumarill able to soak it up. Kartana coming in. But it's going to be a double switch into the Ogerpon Hearthflame. Now in a great spot against that Kartana, forcing the switch back into the Walking Wake. And the Ivy Coat is going to come in. Going to just keep Luffy honest. Going to switch back into Azumarill. Flip turn's going to do Jex, so nothing, but Azumarill is losing quite a bit of health while switching in this many times to resist that Walking Wake. And how much longer can it resist that Walking Wake? However, the Steel Roller, for the second time, we're going to see a Steel Roller brought out against the Tapu Lele, and this one's going to pick up the KO. Big move. But now Zapdos is going to take that Focus that Future Sight damage. Discharge is going to come in, take out the Charizard. Charizard's just going to set up the Sun and die. Future Sight attacks going to come in, do 65%. So even after death, Tapu Lele is going to take a lot of damage. Now with the knockoff coming in from the Kartana, it's going to be choice, but it's going to have that +1 attack. So how does Dr. Mario take care of it? The Ivy Cutter is going to come in. It's going to take down the Kartana. Kartana is just going to be sacked at this point. And now Walking Wake is going to come in a good spot here with the Sun for the next couple turns. Zoomeril is going to come back in. Does Walking Wake do something different? No, it just keeps him on with the Hydro Steam. Hydro Steam is enough to still kill here, though, because Zoomeril has been losing so much health. So there goes Zoomeril. It's a 3v2 at the moment. Though the Sun is down, so Walking Wake does not have that Sun boost. Brave Bird's going to come in and take down the Walking Wake. It is going to be Frostlass versus the world. And boom, Brave Bird's going to come in, take down that Frostlass. Crobat's able to take care of business here in the endgame. Dr. Mario picks up a big 3-0 win. And yeah, I don't know why people are focus gambling, because that focus gambling lost that Charizard, and that was a big one because... And I don't know if there was much hazard control in this, because once those rocks are set up, you got to have those hazard controls with Mega Charizard, because that 4x weakness is still in effect when you have Mega Charizard wide, and that forced it basically to just go in and sack itself for the Sun, and that Sun was not able to be set up long enough for Walking Wake. Honestly, the combo of it being 4x weak to rocks and also not being able to run Heat Rock on it makes Charizard Y one of, in my opinion, the most overrated Pokemon for its sunsetting abilities. I just don't like that sunsetting, and we saw the weaknesses of it now because the sun was not there long enough for Walking Wake to do the damage it needed. Looking at our standings, though, standings with that was Dr. Mario's first win, actually, so that's really cool to see. First win from Dr. Mario, and in a pretty good fashion there, really doing a good job. And it was the only loss for now, and we can see over here, Kaneki taking the 4th game win, so Kaneki actually having a good season, but Dr. Mario, who's been struggling, is able to tag that loss onto a top player. So great job from Dr. Mario being able to take that down. Now moving on, we have JFan versus, let's see here again. I just need to double check because it's tough. JFan versus the Aiger. This is a 1-0 win again. So let's see how it goes. JFan rocking with the, let's see here. 2 new players, so we have to go in. Yes, yeah, no. Mega Charizard is the worst sunsetter. Bring back, you got to use Torkoal, or in my opinion, I love Ninetales. You know, hot take, Ninetales is my favorite. Yeah. Remember Mega Charizard Y can Belly Drum? Oh my god, the heat of Belly Drum Mega Charizard Y. I gotta see it. I gotta see it to believe it, because that is so much heat. I think it may be too hot for the kitchen, but that would be very funny. But as I said, I personally love Ninetales. Ninetales best sunsetter because it's faster than Torkoal, so you can get fast support sets. You can bring that Solar Beam with it. Fast Solar Beams are nice. Get that fast Will-O-Wisps. It's a fun time. I like Ninetales, but a lot of people don't, so whatever. Anyway, off of that side tangent, let's get back into it. Our 2 Pokemon. First, we're looking at the Terra Sandaconda, going with that, going with the trend of not having, the most common of Terra types, not Terra captains. We see the Sandaconda, who is actually, speaking of weather setters, technically Sandaconda you could consider being a weather setter. I wonder if that is used at all in the rest of the team. Maybe if Glamora boosting its special defense. On the other side, though, we have with Aiger, we see the Terra Drampa, and I think Drampa has been not a super common one, but Drampa has been a pretty nice one for a lot of people. A lot of people do like that Drampa with the normal Dragon type, getting out of that type to another type. Those are both very powerful stab types to have with normal and Dragon, plus the Berserk. Drampa is an interesting one to see. So let's get right into it here. Alright, we're going to start lead-offs with that Sableye versus the Glamora. Of course, seeing the lead Glamora, who is going to Mortal Spin to get that poison on Sableye, revealing the Mega Sableye, who had to go in for the Magic Bounce. Sableye is going to get a bunch of damage back into it, but it's pretty specially defensive with Glamora. So now Sableye is poisoned and is going to have to switch out to avoid more poison damage. And we see the Hex actually on the Goldengo. Goldengo set up with the Glamora to get a lot of statuses up, and then with the Hex getting extra damage, especially into Pokemon like Sableye. We're going to see the Terra Fairy out of the Sandaconda. It's not enough to kill, so the knockoff's going to come off and remove the leftovers pretty big. It's not Sand Spit though. So it's not going to be setting up things. Probably then it's going to be Shed Skin. The Glare is going to come out, but Sandaconda doing some good job here, moving in now to the likely contrary Superior, who does not have a lot of moves now, but doesn't still have Glare. It does have Glare, so it gets the Para into the Drampa, which now if Drampa does Terra, that's another Pokemon that Hex Goldango can do. So there's a lot of status coming out of JFan that are doing a lot of things. There's the Terra Fire to resist the Terra Blast from Sandaconda. And even though Sandaconda does go down with this Calm Minding Drampa, it does force that Drampa now to switch out. It doesn't have a Calm Mind boost anymore, and gives Goldango another target with the Hex. So if Goldango, especially if it is Specs or Scarf, is in a really good position here. Especially, and now with the, and a Play Rough miss out of the Alola Mola rocking Play Rough as a counter to Roaring Moon. Unfortunately, the miss and the paralysis make it so that Roaring Moon can just set up, not have to worry about it. Substitutes can come back out. Play Rough's going to come back out. I don't know why the substitute's coming out. Just kill this Alola Mola that can take you down, unless, of course, you have a berry. Nope, he's going to actually greet it, and it's going to work out because the Play Rough's going to miss again. And now, behind him, Roaring Moon has it behind a substitute with that one boost and the photosynthesis boost in a really strong position here. Crunch is going to come back out into the Olomola, but the Rocky Helmet's going to be enough to take down the Olomola because it was able to wither it away enough. So it's not a lot of damage coming out of the Roaring Moon, but Olomola's going to be paralyzed again, and the Sludge Bomb is going to take it down, so it's not able to do anything to punish the rocks coming out. And now Palafin Hero is going to get the Jet Punch back into the Glimmora. Glimora's going to go down. Toxic Debris comes out though, but it's not going to really matter then, because as long as Palafin stays in the game, which it looks like it's going to want to with that substitute, and avoiding the Thunder Wave is actually pretty big, but it's going to get the bulk up behind that substitute. Psyshock's going to come in. It's not enough to take it down because Palafin is just a pure water type and not the water fighting type. The double bulk up's going to come out, and now while Superior can do the Leaf Storm in here, it's going to miss the Leaf Storm. That's going to be a ruining move, because now that it's missed the Leaf Storm, it cannot take it down on the second time. Palafin's going to take down that substitute, but Palafin's able to take it down. And now Palafin, in its own right, is going to have a good chance to take it down, but it's going to live on 2%. The Thunderbolt is not going to be enough from the Goldango, and Palafin has basically locked up this game, provided it can get through this Slowbro. However, if Slowbro can take down, which it has that Rocky Helmet, if Slowbro can take down this Palafin, it's actually in a really good spot, because Goldango has the boosted Hex on both these, so Scald 130 power Hex. Can Palafin withstand this Slowbro? The Rocky Helmet coming out and the Scald coming in, it's gonna be enough. And now Ogerpon's gonna come in, it gets poisoned, and now Goldango is set up, but and it's a Psyshock, it's not gonna do enough. But does the greed be too much? No, it's not. Knockoff's going to be enough. It reveals the knockoff. Rocky Helmet is not going to do enough to take it down with the poison. So that is actually going to be the win. Oh, no, it outspeeds. It's going to make it rain. I think that might have been a bad move. It is a bad move because now Drampa comes in, and even though it is, wow. Oh, and JFan just lets it go right through his fingers. Wow, I don't know quite if it mattered. I don't know if it quite mattered whether it used Make It Rain or Hex, because if Hex doesn't kill, then Drampa still takes the win. But I definitely think that Make It Rain definitely wasn't going to be killing that Drampa. And if you use the Hex there, Hex definitely kills the Ogerpon, because of, especially considering the fact that, one, Ogerpon was only at 10%, so gonna kill no matter what. But if you use Hex there, it's going to have a much better chance of taking out the Drampa. I think that's a big misplay, and I think JFan may have just had it, but that use of Make It Rain is just going to be enough to allow for the Drampa to take it. Overall, brutal loss for JFan here, who had a couple different times where he could have locked it up and just let it slip through his fingers. First time really just greeting a little bit with the substitute on the Roaring Moon. And then secondly, not using Hex. Oh, big, brutal loss for JFan. And I think if you're on the other hand, if you are over here with that Drampa, if you're Aiger, No, you got very lucky there that a couple moves were there not made. You just stole a win out from under him. And good thing, I mean, good thing you were just doing what you could to keep yourself alive and allowing for those misplays to happen to take that win. But man, you got to feel very lucky that you were able to pick up that win. So brutal loss, and then yeah. All right, moving on into the Blitz division. And since you're in the chat, Silver, I will let you know you are not. Your match is not going to be in this one, just because you did take a pretty strong win here. I believe, yeah, it was a 4-0 win over the 4th Mage, and it wasn't a super close matchup. We had a lot of suggestions come in from the Blitz division. Yours was not it was not a super close matchup, and you've already been featured multiple times on this, and so has the 4th Mage. So I decided to change it up, get a couple different matches, and we actually had 4 separate suggestions from the Blitz division. So, yeah, quite a bit. So we're actually going to see a couple really close matchup, one very close matchup, one not quite as close matchup still. First, we're going to see Naomi versus David Olivo. I believe that David Olivo versus Naomi here, rocking with that, going into their rosters. I believe we have not seen, we've seen Naomi with that the Terra Electro-Tsui, very well liked one around a lot of people. People love Terraing this thing. Because of its incredibly high speed stat, and with the stab on both electric and grass. On top of that, David Olivo, we're going to see the Terra Tatsugiri, which I believe we may have seen on week 1, but I'm not quite sure. Been a lot of these to go through. It's hard with all these divisions. But Tatsugiri, we're going to see Terra Tatsugiri, which is another cool one with that dragon water typing, which is a really good set of stab combinations, though it's already a really good type, so it allows for that Terra to come out only if needed. So let's get right into it. We're going to see the Rotom Wash lead versus Tinkaton. Tinkaton, of course, being able to set up rocks. So let's see how that first turn goes. And let's get right into it. All right, we're going to see the immediate rocks come out. And the miss on the Will-O-Wisp. That's a big start for Naomi. It's going to get the knockoff into it, but the Will-O-Wisp is going to land the second time. So not a ton of value coming out of Naomi avoiding that Will-O-Wisp first turn. And now, yeah, that's going to be very physically bulky, plus the burn. Yeah. Rotom Wash is going to be able to just completely wall this Tinkaton at this point. But it does switch into the Terra Captain Tatsugiri, who's going to get the Rapid Spin up to remove those rocks, now kind of forcing Tinkaton to kind of value itself a lot more since rocks are not up. Reveals Rapid Spin on it, but yeah. Knockoff's going to come in, do absolutely nothing, but it does remove the leftovers. I think it's interesting that Naomi, yeah, it's interesting that Naomi should be able to, like, with the amount of value they're getting out of this Tinkaton with all the knockoffs, even though Tinkaton is basically neutered at this point. That being said, Pelipper goes down, so now we're going to get into Swampert. Swampert is going to be that Mega, I believe. So what is this Mega going to be able to do? The Flip Turn is going to immediately come out. It's probably going to go into either the Electrode. Yep, it's the Electrode. Into the Electrode on the Rotom Wash. Going to go into Kilowattrel, who could be a anti-rain option here. What is Kilowattrel going to use? Going back into the Swampert to avoid a possible electric attack. It's going to be just a Roost. It's going to just stall out this rain. And since Pelipper went down so early to the Stone Edge, this is the last turn of rain unless it's manually set up later. Poison Jab's going to come in, but it's not going to be enough. Flip Turn's going to come in. Oh, it is? Okay, it's revealed as Damp Rot. So there's a couple more turns of rain. Now Zapdos going to come in. It's going to have that heavy-duty boots. Now Slowking, can it withstand attacks? Hurricane's going to land for 31%, but the Fissure Sight's going to come out. Zapdos is now going to be in a dangerous position as that rain's going to run out. Volt Switch is going to go into that Tinkaton, who is not in a very valuable position right now, but maybe it can get another knockoff in. Nope, Tinglu's going to come back in and absolutely wall the hell out of it. Tinkaton just needs to survive to hopefully take that Future Sight before it goes down. Gigaton Hammer's only going to do 12%. Earthquake's can come back in, and I believe that does waste this Future Sight. Yes, the Future Sight does waste. So, yep, you're going to Earthquake and take down the Tinkaton, but it does provide value in not allowing any other Pokemon to get hit by it, hit by that Future Sight. Swampert going to do big damage, but it is now in the snow. Don't think that's going to matter much in the long run. Just going to be a switching move, but Flip Turn's going to come in, and interestingly, we're not going to see any sort of priority come out of the Scizor, so Swampert is able to take out its Mega counterpart in this game, and yeah, Flip Turn's going to come back in from the Latios. Just a lot of pivoting at this point. It's a 4v4 matchup. Swampert getting a lot of damage thrown onto it. There's not a lot of damage left on the Stevedore team, especially now that the Tatsugiri is actually not going to go down. The Storm Drain going to be revealed, and it's going to be one special attack. At this point, it's going to go Terra Ghost, Dragon Pulse, going to do big damage into that Electrode, but now it does not have a very good attack, a very good typing for that Electrode, and it's going to outspeed it, so it has to switch out. But that's big damage into the Electrode on a team that really needs to do as much damage as possible. That Kilowattrel is going to take a bunch of damage, but it's going to roost back off the health. Zapdos is going to come in, roost it back up, and now we've got Zapdos versus Budget Zapdos. The Thunder is going to come out, big damage, and the Hurricane is going to miss. Wow. Wow, the luck gods are in the favor of David on this side. He's going to get big damage for free from that Kilowattrel into the Zapdos. He gets that switch into the Slowking on the Terra Electric Electrode. Even the Volt Switch is not going to do much damage. Zapdos comes in. It's going to look for it. Future Sight is going to come out. That's going to be some big damage, but Zapdos is going to be able to roost off in the meantime. Gets a bit back from that, but the Poison's going to come out on the Sludge Bomb, basically making that roost worthless, as it's going to do about 50%. Hurricane's going to hit for 32%, but does not poison. Chilly Reception is going to switch it back out to get more health back, and Kilowattrel is going to come in. Kilowattrel does not even need to face off against Zapdos this time, because that Future Sight is going to take down the Zapdos. And actually, David with a lot of damage coming in, despite me saying that it might not have had much damage left. Draco Meteor is going to miss. Another brutal miss from Naomi. A lot of misses coming out, and then the Throat Chop, of course, able to finish off Electro. Though the Aftermath is cool to take a lot of damage into a very bulky Pokemon in that Ting Lu. Poison Jab going to come in, though. It's not going to use... Swampert's not going to use the Water move, and so Poison's there to give only one turn left for the Ting Lu as the Poison does come out, but I think it could have just killed. And now the Draco Meteor forced to come out of the Latios, and it's just going to be too little, too late, as, yeah. Fortunately, even with low health, I don't think Latios can do enough, but it does get pick up the second KO actually on the switching in Tatsugiri. Interesting now, because interestingly, one crit can possibly change the game. It's going to be 50% even with all the drops, but Roost is going to be enough unless we're thinking crit. A crit will kill. It's only going to do 33%. All right, Hurricane's going to come out. It's going to leave it alive. Does a crit come out? A crit and a crit only, and the crit lands. So now it is Slowking, and I believe a crit can be making this really interesting. Only 15% though. It does not crit. Sludge Bomb's going to finish off the game, and it is a 1-0 for David, though that was a lot more dangerous. David made this a lot more dangerous than I think he could have, but if he just attacked with the Slowking in general, I don't know. Very, very risky move there with that ability to crit on the spamming Draco Meteor on probably the choice, I'm guessing probably choice Specs Latios. So Naomi makes it very close, but unfortunately the luck gods were just not in the favor of Naomi, missing that Hurricane while getting hit by the Thunder, and then unfortunately missing a Draco a couple times. So really good of Naomi to bring it back, but yeah, it's pretty brutal. Really brutal. All right, so yeah, now we are getting back into the other matchup now. Another matchup here is going to be Fernaki versus, in this case, Love Petite Women. Though I believe going into the actual schedule, Fernaki is going up against, where is it? Yes, Fernaki is against AAAASpot. For those who are looking at those team names, that'll be YSL. Him in the 2-2, them in the 2-2 spot in the 8th position, and then Fernaki picking up a first win, but also trying to fight now for that basic 10th spot at the moment. AAAASpot rocking with that Terra Frostlass, which is we saw from earlier, but we also see Mawile Mega. I gotta call him out whenever I see him, because Mawile Mega is my boy. Mawile Mega is the best Pokemon, and no one can convince me otherwise. Hopefully we see some damage come out of it, because we have not yet this season. On the other hand, Fernaki rocking the Terra Arboliva with that terrain ability to set up, and with the Harvest Stall strats. It's a really interesting way for the setup to occur. Also with the Dracovish and Zeraora, maybe a way to possibly neuter the Mawile Mega. Though Mawile's Intimidate could actually provide a lot of power into this very physically attacking team. So let's get right into it. We're going to see the Landorus Incarnate lead versus the Screentail. Of course, we're actually seeing that Mawile in here. We're not seeing Zeraora though, so we'll see how this goes. Let's get going. Landorus is going to set up the immediate Stealth Rock, but the Ice Beam is going to come in, reveals the Focus Sash on the Landorus. Maybe that was expected out of AAA, who is now going to U-turn on out. He saves that Landorus for at least one more switch in. Flame Orb going to reveal its Marvel Scale Milotic, who's going to take no damage out of that Thunderbolt practically because it has a recover almost certainly. Seeing the Wish on the Screamtail for its own recover, these are two very bulky mons who are now both burned. Arboliva is going to come in on... Ooh, it's revealed to be a Mirror Coat Milotic, which is actually really interesting against that Screamtail, hopefully winning that matchup. Seed Sower going to come out from the Arboliva, though, on the switching move. Gouging Fire going to come in to threaten it offensively. Leech Seed's going to come out, though. Arboliva has a lot coming in, so it's not Harvest Arboliva. Importantly, it's not Harvest Arboliva. In fact, I believe it is Leftovers revealed. Yes, it is Leftovers revealed. Conkeldurr is also not Flame Orb. It may be Guts, but it's not Flame Orb. It could also be Iron Fist, maybe Iron Fist Assault Vest Conkeldurr. So we see the Drain Punch come out. Maybe if we see a Thunder Punch here, it's interesting to see Milotic come in. We don't see a Thunder Punch, though, so it's not that. Maybe it's Choice, maybe not. We will learn more about that Conkeldurr, but this is not a Guts set, like maybe the most common set would be. The Burn comes out onto the Dragalge. Dragalge being a special attacker doesn't matter all so much, but it does negate its Black Sludge healing, which is pretty good. The Toxic Spikes are going to come out, though. Milotic's Mirror Coat not going to be able to get anything because Dragalge is going to instead start setting up these Toxic Spikes to intimidate. Mawile is on the field. Do they switch out Mawile to keep the Intimidate, or do they just go for it? Mawile is going to Mega Evolve. It's going to Substitute. We're going to see Substitute Mega Mawile. And it's going to be bulky enough with the Intimidate to take that flip turn. Now we have Substitute Mega Mawile available. He's going to Substitute Swords Dance. High Horsepower is going to fade that Substitute. Now, Fire Fang. Big damage into that Aggron. Is going to get the flinch. Big flinch out of the Mega Mawile, and now Mega Mawile is going to land a Play Rough. It's going to predict the switch, and there goes Dracovish. Mega Mawile is in a huge spot right now. It's going to get the Substitute off. Scald going to come in, not enough to take it down, so now it can't get burnt. Mawile is in an incredible spot. It's going to just Play Rough and take down the Dragalge. And could this be a Mawile sweep? That flinch was a huge moment for this Mawile to just get tons of damage. There goes the Screamtail. Mawile currently with that double attack, I believe is at over 2,000 attack. It's going to take down the bulky as hell Aggron, and we are going to likely see a Mawile sweep. No, it's going to switch out on the Arboliva. Interesting, because yeah, it's going to see the Earth Power come in reverse. That Earth Power was probably enough to take out the Mawile, so he's going to switch it out. But now that gives Fernaki an opportunity. Goes Terra Dark on the Arboliva. Can Arboliva claw it back a little bit? Now with the Mawile out, it's going to, with Mawile out, all can always come back in, but Arboliva now in a good spot against this Milotic. It's going to switch out to avoid the Leech Seed healing. Ogerpon Cornerstone is going to come in, but it's still going to be Earth Power. It's going to be 30%. Now the Toxic on the Ogerpon. Can Arboliva survive? That's the big moment here. Conkeldurr is actually going to come in on an Ivy Cudgel. That's going to do a lot of damage with the critical hit. That's a big crit, though it's going to be resisted. Now Power Whip's going to hit. That's going to be enough with the Grassing Terrain to take it down. It's going to be a 1v5 with Arboliva up here. And I think big thing here is Arboliva just needs to pick up kills. Giga Drain is not quite going to be enough. That's big. With the Grassy Terrain healing back up. Next, it's going to actually switch out, interestingly. Leech Seed's going to miss. And that's a pretty strong miss from Arboliva. AAA with Love Petite Women is going to try his best to get as much point differential as possible. This might be the first time we're really seeing that point differential come into play with all these switching out. Even though a sack at any point could just win the game for women. The Mirror Coat comes out, but he forgets that the Mirror Coat is not effective onto Dark types. The Terra Dark coming in big for Arboliva, who is just dominating this Milotic at this point. Interesting, though, we're seeing the Earth Powers come out, not the Giga Drain. Expecting multiple switches coming. The Giga Drain does come out onto the Ogerpon, though, and that's the kill for the Ogerpon. There we go. Now Frostlass going to come in. Frostlass, though, going to Terra. Ice Beam, big damage. Only 33, actually. A lot of damage you'd think from the Frostlass, but actually not a lot. Arboliva very specially bulky and not weak to it. The Giga Drain's going to come out, and that should be almost enough to finish out the Milotic. Milotic going to take that burn damage to reduce any sort of opportunity. The Recover is going to send it back up. Earth Power, though, it's not going for the Giga Drain. Fernaki underestimating the amount of time that Milotic's going to stay in, and it's going to let Milotic last a lot longer than maybe Fernaki would like. Recover's going to come back out, and another Earth Power comes in. It just has to predict. It's out of Recovers. The Scald's going to come in 18%. Does get the burn, though. The Seed Sower is going to set back up, and the Giga Drain's going to come back in, but this is where you get dangerous because of that burn getting set up. Now Milotic has gotten a little bit of a timer on the Arboliva, not being able to heal back nearly as much as it would like. When it's out of Recovers, now it can go down to that Earth Power, but now switching in, Mawile Mega can come in, and Mawile actually outspeeds. Mawile could have taken this from the very beginning, and instead AAA deciding to try to play it a little safer, actually loses more, and only takes a 3-0 win here instead of a 5-0 win. So maybe this may be not the most closest match, but I'd love to see my Mawile sweeping, especially on a set that I have never ran. We see all 4 moves. It is Fire Fang, Play Rough, Swords Dance, Substitute. This is why you have to respect this thing, because with that huge power, Mawile with that Swords Dance was at 2,000 attack stat. Yep, that's 2,000 attack right there, and that's how he's able to do it. Though Fernaki be able to really get a lot more than maybe you could have expected in terms of differential just by playing that Arboliva well. All right. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, also, good to mention, big fucking flinch out of the Fire Fang from Mawile. Otherwise, Aggron could be a lot more big of a threat with its ability to Earthquake, which would probably taken down the Mega Mawile. Yeah, that Fire Fang critting is a huge, not critting, but flinching is a huge deal, and that kind of sealed it for it right there. So, moving on into our VGC divisions. Yeah, we've been going for this for a while, but moving on into our VGC divisions. Obviously, with VGC, since it has 3 rounds, we each pull one, and with this one, we're pulling our suggested one, which was Mewizard, who is being very common on this. Mewizard's been a very big staple on this show, because Mewizard has been facing off a lot, and, you know, for good reason. Mewizard's had a lot of really close games. And this time, picking up their second win against, in this case, let's see here, it is the Friending. Is that in here? Or we're going to have to look at the schedule. Week 3, Mewizard versus Kevs. And as you can see here, 1-0, 0-1, 3-0. So this is a very close matchup with these first 2 especially. So Mewizard, as we know, Zamazenta Crown, as viewers know, number 1 pick in both VGC drafts, so very popular Pokemon. And Roaring Moon, Landorus, Manaphy, Necrozma. Looking at this, it's very much stock standard, not trying to build anything specifically. I will bring this up, though, because hopefully we see it. I have not looked at these matches, but I will bring it up. Skiploom is on this team, and Skiploom is coming to the match. That's right, we're seeing Skiploom Gaming, so this will be good. All right, and yeah, see ya, Silver. Thanks for hanging out for the stream. Hopefully you can pick up the end of it later when you can watch it. Meanwhile, on the other hand, though, we have Kevs with the Koraidon, not really having too much of a Sun team with it, but there's definitely a Sun team in here with the Sandy Shocks Photosynthesis boost, plus the Lilligant Hisui with the Chlorophyll, and along with Scovillain as another lower tier Chlorophyll option. So Koraidon with a bit of a Sun team here, and also with that Volcanion, one of the only Pokemon that can use water type attacks in that Sun and be still effective in that Sun. So yeah, but we also see Bagon and Sentret and stuff. A lot of like just, you know, taking stuff when your budget is low points here at the end. And unfortunately, we do not see any of those Pokemon on this side. Oh yeah, also the Screamtail. Always forget about this, but Screamtail is affected by the Sun. So definite Sun team coming out here from the Friending Kevs. So let's get right into it. Leads are Roaring Moon and Landorus versus Koraidon and Lilligant. Roaring Moon getting that Photosynthesis boost, really good bring. Yeah, immediate Photosynthesis boost shows off the physical attack boost. It's going to immediately Terra Grass, and Triple Axle going to go off into that Protect, big Protect, and the Collision Core is going to hit for 84%, but Roaring Moon lives and gets the Tailwind with that defensive Terra. Now the Acrobatics, it's going to be enough with that 4 times effectiveness to get Lilligant down to the Focus Sash. However, probably not as much as he wanted, so probably why he didn't go into Koraidon, because probably is going to be booster energy, both Koraidon leading and setting that Sun. It actually is a negative effect onto that Roaring Moon, who cannot lose its item. Now Koraidon getting that Protect up to save itself at least 1 turn. The body press going in. Sandseer Storm going to land for big damage. That's actually going to one-shot the Sandy Shocks. Landorus Incarnate getting big damage out of the Sandseer Storm. Normal type Terra out of the Entei for extreme speed is going to take down the Landorus. Zamazenta, though, goes body press into the Koraidon again. Body press is now super effective on that Entei. It's dangerous with that Terra normal. Protection come out from the Zamazenta, but Clefable is going to take a huge amount of damage. Actually, Clefable is going to take 2/3, but Koraidon is going to go into the other side, and Moonblast is going to be enough to take down that Koraidon. We have 1 Pokemon left against 2. Entei is going to pick up the kill on the Clefable, but the body press is going to one-shot the Entei, and Mewizard is able to pick up that first round with that 1-0 victory with Zamazenta. Interestingly, the Roaring Moon, even with it not getting quite it is, but with the acrobatics, revealing that either it is just straight up no item, which is possible, or it is booster energy that did not get that activated. So maybe we'll learn a little bit more here. However, we're going to see the Clefable and the Landorus versus the Meowstic and the Koraidon this time. Koraidon leading again, but the Roaring Moon not coming out to match it. Let's see how this one goes. All right. Immediate switch out from Koraidon into the Entei. Entei with a very powerful attacking stat with fire moves under the sun. The Terra Fairy Terra Blast is going to come out from the Landorus, trying to catch that Koraidon early. Nope, Terra Normal is going to come out. The Leer. Leer is an interesting move. We see a heat move come out from Meowstic, a move you never expect, but being able to lower defenses on both parties with that Leer, Entei is able to hit Sacred Fires and take down 2 Pokemon now, the Clefable and the Landorus, before being taken down by that body press from the Zamazenta. Koraidon now going to come in. He's got the Trick Room up. Meowstic is still available and is still the fastest Pokemon on the board in the Trick Room. It's going to do over 50% knockoff, but the Colbur Berry not enough. Play Rough going to land and nearly kill the Koraidon, but the Koraidon is going to live and it's going to take down the Roaring Moon. Is now a 1v2. Sandy Shocks coming in against Zamazenta. And Koraidon's going to go down to the body press, but Sandy Shocks should be able to, with this Earth Power, not quite take down Zamazenta, but it doesn't really matter because the body press is not going to be enough to kill the Sandy Shocks. Earth Power is going to come in, and there we go. Another 1-0 win. So now we're going in. 1-0 win per side going into the third match with Sandy Shocks being the last survivor in this one. Now moving in. We're going to see from Mewizard going to go back to that lead of Landorus Roaring Moon, which is very threatening. Landorus, of course, with that Sandsear Storm being incredibly threatening, along with that Terra Fairy Terra Blast, not allowing Koraidon to go after that Landorus immediately without having to respect that possible play. Let's see how it go in this final one. Here we go. Screamtail is going to get this boost. It's a Terra Speed. It's going to, not Terra Speed. It's going to be a speed boosted Screamtail, but it's going to be is that a Rock Tomb? It's not Rock Slide. Rock Tomb gets protected, the double protect block from it, and that's going to be a big first turn as the Sludge Bomb gets a ton of damage onto the Screamtail, allowing it to go down to Sandsear Storm. The speed boost on the Koraidon, though, not to be outdone. Koraidon with that Flame Charge boost. Protect coming out of the Sandy Shocks. Oh, the Clefable uses Follow Me. It's another Flame Charge. It's not going to be enough to take down the Clefable. Sandsear Storm coming out from the Landorus and taking up a huge amount of value. That Sandsear Storm, I believe, I could look into it afterwards. I'm not exactly sure how Sandsear Storm works, but it might be 100% accurate in the sun. I would have to assume it is, because otherwise, Sandsear Storm, really risky to use this many times, but it's going to be enough. Sandsear Storm alone picked up about 6 or 7 kills in this matchup. So just a quick check. I'm just going to quickly look it up. Yeah, Sandsear Storm. And yeah, I believe, yep, Sandsear Storm. It bypassed. So, let's see here. Yes, 80% accurate, but bypasses it in what? Where does it bypass? Oh, it bypasses accuracy checks in rain. Actually, Sandsear Storm, big for Mewizard to get it landing every time. That's a dangerous game to be playing, and he's very lucky that it's been landing every time. Because if that had not landed even one of those times, it really would not have quite the impact it was. Regardless, Landorus MVP of this matchup, as it really just it hits for a ton. And yeah, really unfortunate that Sandsear Storm just so good into the Sun team and just never missed. So finally, going into our final match of the week in the Clangers division, we are going to be looking at, let's see here, in the standings, we are going to be looking at Spectre. We're going to be looking at Absol versus Plesio. This will be Plesiolord, which I believe we have seen before. Plesiolord, get this out of my way. Yeah, Plesiolord, which we have seen before, against against Guckmuck. Another 3-game series with a 0-1, 2-0, 2-0. So this is a very close one. Looking at our standings real quick, I actually picked up my second win in week 4. Maybe we'll cover that match because that match was a lot closer than we able to see it. But Plesiolord in a good spot here with 3-0. Looking at Overly French here, we have not seen Overly French yet because Overly French is actually 2-0'd every single one of their matchups en route to a 4-0 start. So really dangerous up here. Maybe we'll have to find a match here when they go up against a team like Lasershot or Red SSB, one of these other top matchups, even if it may not be the most close matchup, just to show off this top team. That being said, we're going to look at Plesiolord as they go up against Guckmuck. Guckmuck, unfortunately, has not won a set yet. That being said, looking at these two teams, we have seen Plesiolord. Plesiolord, of course, that Groudon player with the Volcanion, another Sun team with that Volcanion in this league. Rocking with the Jumpluff and the Lycanroc Dust, we will see those in this matchup, but also not too much of a Sun core. Main Sun threat being that Raging Bolt, which is a very big Sun threat, but also not overall Sun face team. On the other hand, though, we have Guckmuck, who on this... Where is Guckmuck on this? Sorry. Guckmuck is on this... See here. Guckmuck. Huh, interesting. Oh yeah, Guckmuck right next to it. I just completely whiffed it. Rocking that Necrozma Dustmane, the bulkiest of all the restricted mons, I believe. And rocking that Landorus Incarnate, which we saw do a ton of damage. And the Clefairy. First time we're seeing Clefairy. For those who are more singles players and may not know, Clefairy is really actually more valuable than Clefable in VGC because of the Friend Guard ability plus the Violet, making it very bulky and allowing for a lot more bulk on the partner Pokemon. So we're actually going to see Clefairy and the Spectrier lead here versus the Groudon and Jumpluff. So here we go. Alright, Jumpluff, a really good support mon here. It's going to use Rage Powder and the Follow Me. 2 redirecting moves come out as the Heat Crash is going to come into the Clefairy. That Eviolite plus Friend Guard is going to boost it a lot. And Spectrier gets the free boost, and it's going to go into Shadow Ball. That's going to take it down. And with the Grimnay coming out, that does a ton of damage. Spectrier now, really commanding spot with a +3 attack boost, though. Lycanroc comes out. Does Lycanroc have the ability to do anything? Nope, but the Shadow Ball goes into the Groudon, who protects. The Playrought's going to be able to take down the Clefairy, and now Spectrier is not able to avoid with redirects. Shadow Ball's going to come in. It's going to be a Focus Sash on the Lycanroc. Lycanroc, can you outspeed the Porygon Z? Solar Beam going to come out in the Sun. That's a one-shot. Terra Grass, Solar Beam, Porygon Z countering the Sun with Groudon. Huge bring by Absol. Huge bring by Guckmuck. Really bringing a heat set here to take the... And this will be a great lead. Thunderclap comes out into the wrong move with Yanmega coming out with a Tailwind instead, avoiding that. And this will be an easy cleanup at this point. Thunderclap going to go into the Porygon Z, but it's all the way over. Struggle Bug is going to lower special attack. Struggle Bug Cool C as a spread move on that Yanmega. Thunderclap is going to kill the Yanmega, but Solar Beam going to come out, not do enough. And Porygon looks to be probably that, yes, it is the, oh, and it lives by 1! That's actually huge! I just realized, yeah, looking at it, it was a choice. It was a choice. And when the Sun goes down, it takes those 2 turns, and Thunderclap actually activates for both those turns. So that's actually really, really close. Plesio ends up losing by, and Absol with Guckmuck taking it by the skin of his teeth, of 1% left on the Porygon Z. Wow. That's the danger of running that Solar Beam. It's a heat bring, but that's very dangerous, and we see it almost come back to bite him in the ass. So now we're going to see Lycanroc. We're going to see the immediate, really bulky setup from Guckmuck here with the Clefairy Friend Guard on the Necrozma Dustmane versus the Groudon and Lycanroc. Lycanroc and Groudon, obviously, with those ground moves being very threatening right now. Let's see how this goes. All right, Follow Me comes out from the Clefairy. The Players can go in and going to miss. The Dragon Dance coming out from the Necrozma being very threatening. The Heat Crash is going to go into the Clefairy, not going to be Precipice Blades. Instead, Earthquake's going to come out. It's going to tear Lycanroc to survive. Lycanroc's going to crunch. Raise the weakness policy. Wow. Weakness policy. Oh, wait, sorry. That was Earthquake from the Necrozma, not from the Groudon. Necrozma now in a really big spot with that speed boost with the 2.5 times attack. Sunsteel Strike is going to go into the double protect. Solar Beam also going to go into the double protect. Lycanroc with the Terra Dark. just surviving off the Terror Dark on the Earthquake earlier. You see Raging Bolt comes in. It's going to get hit by a Sunsteel Strike. It's going to do a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough to kill. Solar Beam going to come in. It's going to kill Lycanroc. However, Necrozma now going to have to play some games with Thunderclap. Mimikyu coming in. The Terra Grass going to come in, but Thunderclap's enough to take down the Necrozma. Does not play the game well does not play the Thunderclap game well, and Thunderclap is enough to take it down. And now Mimikyu is busted, and Spectre is in. But unfortunately now Porygon Z is locked into that Solar Beam, and as we saw from before, Solar Beam was not enough to take down. Was barely enough to take down Raging Bolt by itself. It's not going to be enough to take down both Raging Bolt and Mimikyu here. Raging Bolt is going to go down. However, Groudon coming in. Oh, actually, no. Groudon does set up the Sun, so it's a lot closer, but Mimikyu able to take it down. If Play Rough misses, that game is not over because suddenly that boosts up the Solar Beam capabilities of Porygon Z again. Really dangerous games here now from Plesio, but Plesio does survive and take the match. So now going on to the third match. It's going to be Mimikyu and Groudon versus Spectre and Necrozma. Seeing two legendaries versus the Groudon and the Mimikyu. Can Mimikyu take down the Spectre or the Necrozma? They know that there's a... Plesio now knows about the weakness policy, so here we go. Alright. Shadow Ball immediately come in to waste that Disguise on the Mimikyu. Not waste, but like take down the Disguise. Sunsteel Strike's going to go in and double the Mimikyu. Mimikyu's going to go down to save that Spectre. A lot of headache. Heat Crash is going to come back in. It's going to be super effective. It's going to boost with the weakness policy. And it's actually not going to do much damage. It's only going to do about 40%, which you don't really want to see. Shadow Ball going to hit for 83%. Crunch is going to come back in and finish off the Spectre Air. Does Necrozma hit with the Earthquake? No, Necrozma greeds. He greeds with the Spectre. Agrees with it. And there's the Precipice Blade, not revealed until now. Precipice Blade is going to take down the Necrozma, who was greeting with the fucking Dragon Dance. Heat Crash and the double up into the Breloom's enough, and now it's just Clefairy against the world. Clefairy is going to take down the low health Lycanroc, but unfortunately now it's Clefairy against the world, and really, there goes the Thunderbolt. Terra Electric Thunderbolt's going to be enough. Really big thing about Guckmuck there, really misplayed that final turn with the greed going for the speed boost most likely with the Dragon Dance, and allows for the kill, maybe thinking that Heat Crash was the only move on Groudon, maybe they didn't have Precipice Blades, but Precipice Blades comes out and takes the kill. I really do think with the speed tier with the lower speed tiers in this matchup, unless maybe there's a jump bluff in the back, Necrozma really should have just gone for it, got those kills, gotten the damage off, and maybe it could have been a lot better. Though if Groudon survives, then it doesn't really matter too much either. So overall, close match, but Plesio is able to take it down, and especially there, really not getting much value out of the weakness policy Necrozma. So yeah, that's our games for the week. A lot of talking. Man, this has been, I think, a pretty long one. Let's see here. I need to check. Let's see here. How long has this been? This has been going for a long time here. I'll have to check later, but it's been a long stream. Before I go, though, we are getting into the halfway point of the season, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to cover stuff really too effectively when it happens because of I have a lot going on. I'm actually doing a lot of travel, so the week 4 will also be probably almost a week late. Might be almost doubling up on some uploads, but I will be posting after the stream is done. I will be posting the week 4 poll, week 4 Google form for people to submit their favorite matches of the week. And I feel like since I'll be gone, and we've had a lot of week 4 matches already since I've been doing this kind of late, let's just go over some quick standings here amongst the league. As we saw before, Lonely Litten taking the #1 spot here in Genesis Division with that 3-0 record. Haven't played their week 4 matchup, and also another one who hasn't played it, the Extreme Edition Sonic Rose Friedel for Wii U, with the 3-0 record as well. Both of them with +11 differential, so they've been very dominant in this Genesis division. However, good to mention that if they both take losses, they are the only two who are still left undefeated. So these two are the favorites at the moment. And then Drightwake was also 3-0, but took his first loss in week 4. Maybe we will cover that match. We will see if that match gets voted in or gets picked by me if no one else votes in stuff for Genesis Division. But yeah, Drightwake taking up that 4 spot, and CamelConvention also was really high up there until they took the loss that we saw on stream today. Moving into the Moonsault division. Look at our standings, and this is basically our kind of like mid-season standings. So I feel like that's good to bring up. This is basically mid-season. So Moving on into the Moonsault division, we are going to now look at. We're now going to look at our top lead, who's Major Comeback, who we saw actually today. Major Comeback putting a loss onto StarvinPig, his second loss, but Major Comeback actually is leading with the all-Asian Olamolas with 3-0 record and plus 10 differential. However, there's another 3-win team being its Hydra, who lost this week 3 but won week 4. Maybe we'll cover that matchup. And Riptide also being up there, another really strong one that we also covered this week, also being 3-0, and actually a lot of 3-win teams. Now I'm looking at it, all top 5 have 3 wins so far. Really cool to see. Citric Sage actually dropping down in the standings a little bit with that picking up that first loss in week 4. And then after a rough week 1 from the Terrifying Tepics and Benjaboin, he's coming back with 3 straight wins to get back up into that 4-hole. Really strong top teams here in the Moonsault division. Moving on into the Sky Strike division, looking at Bummer. Even though Bummer actually, this is interesting, we see the first league leader who has a loss in week 1. So Bummer really turning it around after that week 1 loss with rattling off 3 straight wins that don't seem to be particularly close, as he's picked up the plus 11 differential record, and being able to move up above Scary Monsters Over Heaven, who took their first loss in week 4. And then besides that, we have two undefeated teams in Margaritaville Marowak with Leezeypzee, which we saw today, and Dragonleaf Game Bandy 2005, who are looking to keep that undefeated streak going, and that whoever can keep that undefeated streak going will jump up into that first spot. So those two have very important week 4 matchups. All right. Moving into the Twinkle division, not many matches played out here in week 4 as of yet, which is fine. There's still a couple of days left in week 4, but Froggerman currently taking the lead. We saw them in this game, 3-0 with a plus 4 differential. A lot of parity in this league. They are the only undefeated team left. There's only 2 3-win teams in this league, with Design is Passion, Dead Pants being the other 3-win team who took their first loss in week 4, but took it pretty bad in order to get down to a 0 overall. Phantom, I would say, in the 3 spot, had a pretty bad week 2 loss just because made a misclick, picked the wrong move, and that came back to bite him in the ass. But Phantom with the highest differential in this division, so looking to make a good run. And if Froggerman can take a loss, then Phantom could easily be the number 1 team in this division. Moving on to Doom division, we're going to look at another one with a lot of parity. Not a lot of week 4 matchups played, but the 2 undefeated teams are Tinker's Treasure with Hotrodtoaster, which we saw today, and Lizards of the Round Scale, Blind Figs, both of which with high differentials and a 3-0 record, looking to possibly be a big fight between the 2 of them. Otherwise, though, a lot of losses on some 2-0 teams since third week. A lot of big movements here. And so we can see if as more week 4 matches come in, this could shake up quite a bit. But overall, I'd say the two big ones are Blind Figs and Hotrodtoaster, and also shout out to Wolfpack for Life, whose only loss comes to Hotrodtoaster. So even though the differential is a little lower, putting him in 4th, I would say easily a top 3 team in this league, only losing to the number 1 team. Moving on to Inferno division, looking at our standings. Standings here are a lot more of these 3-win teams at the top, though what separates the top are the 3-win who've only needed 3 games to do it, and a Hollow Husk and Lillian Official and Kaneki, who each have a loss, with Lillian Official taking a loss in week 1, but really fighting back to take that 3 spot. So Jake W. of London Vesperquins and Dicey Eepers, shout out to you two. I don't think we have seen you on any matches yet, because you have been pretty good at winning convincingly, and it shows through your record, and it shows through your differential with a plus 12 and a plus 10 respectively. So good job over here. It looks to be a battle between these top 4 teams, though Kaneki is a bit of a fall off with only plus 5 differential, as opposed to the plus 9, plus 10, and plus 12 of these top 3 teams. Moving on to Blitz division. Blitz division is then not a lot of week 4 matchups played, and of them, only one big top team loss, with Naomi taking another loss after the one we watched, another loss in week 4. So pretty big for Naomi to have a bit of a fall off here, going from 2-0 now to 2-2. But those top 3 are still riding out pretty far. We saw David Olivo with a good win in week 3, We did not see SSJ Silver because SSJ Silver did take a 4-0 win, and we've seen a lot of him so far. Shout out, you have been watching all the streams. Great to see you, and it's great to see you doing well here in the top 3 spot. And with all 3 teams being 3-0, the difference between a +8 differential and a +10 differential really isn't too much. It's really a battle for all at the top 3. These top 3 are in a really good spot. Moving into the Nightmare Division. We see the only undefeated team left is the Kansas City Raging Bolts of Sahia. We've not seen them yet because, again, they've won all theirs in two matches, 3-0, and now the Dan Chunk's losing his 4th in week 4. Maybe that's one we might want to cover, but picks up 3 wins there, so he's up a little bit. And then CamelConvention with his 2nd division. We saw him take his first L in the singles division that he's in, and now he is 3-1. Also pushing for a big win, pushing for big placements up in the Nightmare Division, our top VGC division, and also bringing up Crawdonts with another 3-win team here with the Craighead County Crawdonts and Squeaks rattling off 3 straight wins after a first loss. And finally, moving on into the Clangers division, we've got Overly French, which I've seen a lot of people talking about this team being incredibly strong. We're going to take a quick look at this team being the only 4-0 team in our divisions, I believe. But Overly French with the Calyrex Ice Trick Room. This is a Trick Room team. Calyrex Ice, Ogrepon Blood Moon, not Ogrepon Blood Moon, Ursaluna Blood Moon, the Primarina, the Raichu for a good support mon. This is a very good team and has been very strong, so not surprised to see that at the top of the leaderboard. We've also seen Lasershot and Hunter haven't had their week 3 matchup, but if Lasershot can take that one down, he'll be 4-0. Very strong team. I faced them in week 2 and ended up losing not too convincingly, but yeah, meanwhile I'm rocking 2-2. I'll call myself out because I'm surviving. I might make playoffs. It's tough. I'm learning. It's a new thing for me. This is my first time ever doing VGC draft. It's my first real time doing a lot of competitive VGC. I did a little bit back in Gen 8, but not a ton else. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, and then also shout out to Red SSB, Loquidus, and Nobody. Each of them kind of fighting for that 3rd spot right now, all pretty close. And I'm going to probably end it right here because I've been talking for a while and I think my voice is actually losing itself just a little bit. So I need to go get some water. But yeah, hopefully everyone enjoyed this stream, enjoyed seeing all the games. We had some heat ones. Loved covering my first Mawile sweep. So yes, I mean, I love doing the close ones, but when a Mawile sweep is present, I will always love to cover my favorite mon. But thank you all for watching. For everyone looking back, I will have the poll out as soon as I look in the PWC content channel. It'll be a Google form. I will @ those who are interested in it. I will @ the PWC content enjoyer role. And besides that, yeah, for everyone else, and hopefully you enjoyed it. When it comes out as a video, it will have the timestamps on it, so just look for those. I'll get those out sooner rather than later. And hopefully, yeah, submit some. The next stream, I don't know when it will come out. Might not even come out until after week 5. And I might, what I might do is I might get a second person on here. I might do a full-on, like, I might do even a full-on double stream extravaganza for full-on like mid-season extravaganza of both week 4 and week 5 matchups. We will have to see. So maybe look out for that. But otherwise, thanks for watching and have a great day. Hopefully we have a lot of great matchups. All right.